All right, welcome one and all to the latest episode of the Xbox 2 podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, and back this week after, well, I'll let him explain why he wasn't here last week, but Jez Corden has returned home to the Xbox 2. What's going on, Jez?
Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Hey, Rand. Hey, Xbox
Jez.
2 universe. I am back.
You're back after basically being told you couldn't do the show last week. Denied.
Not exactly.
Denied. You're like, can I do the
denied.
show? No. Oh, okay. Rand, you got to find somebody else to do the show. Like, okay.
Yeah, so my girlfriend's been away for 3 months, over 3 months, and I just picked her up from the airport. She'd been backpacking in Australia and New Zealand. So, yeah, so we reunited on Thursday, and I was like, do you care if I podcast? And she was like, oh, I got plans. So, yeah, so I couldn't really deal with that. So, that was last week. It was a rare day off for me, but thanks to Colt Eastwood for jumping in. Thanks, Rand, for carrying the show with your illustrious beard and wonderful, beautiful face, which isn't on camera, so I guess nobody can tell that you've got a beautiful face. But anyway, it's the thought that counts, right? But yeah, that's what we're rocking. We're back to regular scheduled programming. We shouldn't miss any shows in there, I think.
Well,
Rand,
we'll see about next week. Next week is like day after Christmas and
you're
stuff.
Gonna have family over, right?
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens next week. Might have to take that.
Maybe I'll do a show with a guest next week.
Potentially, but yeah.
I don't have any plans on the 26th because I'm a loser. So maybe I'll do a show with a guest and give Rand a week off. Maybe we'll do something like that. But yeah, we're back.
But you did miss an interesting week because a whole lot of stuff happened, and I really haven't spoken to you at all, really. Well, no, we were talking about the Starfield update because I started hearing people started reaching out to me about the Starfield event or whatever that supposedly was real, and I was like, you hear anything about this? And then you went and did your investigated journalism stuff, but I figured
investigation.
Yeah, I figured we'd start off with what you thought of the Game Awards and stuff. Anything that really stood out to you, because you did miss all of last week.
So the weird thing about the Game Awards for me is it's on in the middle of the night.
That is true.
So I didn't watch it live.
Which is probably for the best, because then you could just watch the trailers.
Yeah, exactly.
Because who really cares about people winning the awards, right? I mean, whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, it's.
I mean, they don't care. They give away half the awards in a super fast lightning round.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Most of the awards are given away, and where nobody even accepts the award. It's like, and the best award for best action game goes to Hades 2. All right, moving on. The best award for best fighting game goes to. Yeah, they did that 3 separate times. So
that's that's irritating, first of all, for the people who won, I suppose, but it's also, I suppose, kind of underscores the point, doesn't it, that people are watching the show for the trailers, not really watching it for the awards, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't watch the awards themselves. I watched a bunch of the trailers. I saw there was a lot of drama and controversy on social media about some of the winners. A lot of back and forth about Expedition 33 and sort of winning the most awards in a single show ever, I think.
Deserved, yes. It passed up Last of Us Part 2, which had previously won 7. It was the most awarded game. And Expedition 33 won 9. So now it is the most awarded game in Game Award history.
Is it deserved?
To be above Last of Us Part 2? Absolutely, 100% bro.
Oh yeah, being above that, sure, but did Last of Us deserve that?
No, not at all.
I'm just being a contrarian.
Here's the thing, Jez really liked Expedition 33, but now that everybody loves it, now it's firmly in a overrated category, and it's really not that good, and et cetera, right?
the problem is for me around that. I'm just like, I'm not a trending gamer. You see,
you
so
are the very definition of trending gamer.
If something gets popular, I have to automatically hate it. Otherwise, I won't seem cool on the internet.
I don't know. I mean,
Isn't that how this works?
When Pal World
That's
came
how this
out,
works,
you were repping Pal World all day, and that was the most popular game in existence at that time. I don't want to hear none of this stuff about that.
Yeah, but Pokemon fans disagree with you on that one, Rand, I think.
I'm just saying, you said if something's
nah,
super popular, I mean, what game would be more popular than Pal World recently? Not many. Not many at all, really.
Yeah, I guess. It was
like Pal World was setting Steam records, 2 years ago. So, and you were all about that game. So I don't want to hear it.
I was. I didn't actually play it that much, but covering it got a lot of clicks. So that's
what the industry's missing right now. Pal World, where everybody could get clicks off of.
It's also missing clicks. Yeah. And Pal World was pretty damn big, but it's joking aside, it deserved a lot of the wins. I did think some of the snubs were kind of annoying. Like I really thought the Alters voice actor. I think we talked about this before. The Alters voice actor really deserved to some sort of recognition. Didn't even get a nomination, but it kind of underscores what we've talked about before with the Game Awards. That there's kind of like you can predict who's going to win what and who's going to be nominated because you just know what game journalists like and what they like to cover, and it's kind of like this is the panel they've built up. They've created a very predictable kind of panel, right? Which I think undermines some of the most popular games in the world, whether they're mobile games, sports games, racing games I don't necessarily like, but games journalists don't really cover because they don't really get any clicks. Is like, do those not deserve some kind of recognition given how popular they are? I don't know. I don't have the answers to these questions. It's
what won the Windows Central
Awards? It's a complicated
Awards?
thing making awards. Oh, we don't bother, bro. The Game Awards are the only thing that matter now.
That is true. Jeff Keighley is basically has the stranglehold on awards show discussing. So even though Windows Central did an award show, it doesn't matter because nobody cares.
It's all about.
We
didn't do an award show.
Oh, I thought you normally do.
No, we usually do like a roundup of games we want to award, but nobody really cares. Readers don't care. The devs don't care. So this is pointless. What we did do was we ranked our favorite games of the year, which we did do. Which, by the way, Expedition 33 won that as well. Got the most votes,
as it should. Good award.
My pick was.
What was your pick?
Was not Chronos.
Chronos, yeah, we figured because we sort of talked about that last week. About what our favorite games are. Mine, Expedition 33. So I was, of course, very happy that it won all the awards because when I played that in April, I was like, this is going to win everything. It's so good, and it's so... Now, granted, I haven't played all the games on the list, so there is that to factor in, but I thought there's nothing that, at least for me, there was nothing that was going to beat that game for me. Arc Raiders, as much as I'm enjoying it, and as much as I'm still addicted to it, I think I'm, 160 hours? And it doesn't seem there's no sign of slowing down, Jez, because they just added the cold update, where so like you have the maps are like have the cold snap, and you can't be outside for long, otherwise it kills you, and increased loot, and they're having the expedition soon, and all this sort of stuff. Like, and I'm just looking at the future of like, okay, well, what's the next game I want to play? And it's like really like the next game's in February, so it's like. I get on every night and I play Arc Raiders every night with my friends, and it's awesome. It almost is scratching that PUBG itch that I always talked about from late 2017, 2018, where you're just looking forward to getting on with your friends and having a blast. And we did that for so long in PUBG, and eventually it'll end. But God, I mean, I'm closing in on 200 hours on this game. I didn't even think I was gonna play this game.
You're a goddamn nerd, bro.
I mean, I didn't think I was even gonna play the game.
You're a damn nerd, bro.
I'm not.
We talk about trending gaming. You are playing the trendiest, hottest, spiciest game of the now, Arc Raiders. So you ain't beating the allegations, Rand.
That's not true.
You ain't beating them, bro.
Nope.
You ain't beating them. Whereas me, I'm playing a little game no one's ever heard of called Valheim.
No, you know, because I have your footage here. You're playing a little game called Diablo IV because the Paladin came out. So
yeah, but Rand, you always tell me that no one likes Diablo. Everyone wants to play Path of Exile. So me playing.
Do I say that? I don't think I say that.
Yeah, you do. You do say that. So me playing Diablo just proves my point that I only play eclectic games.
Eclectic.
That are kind of eclectic, artisanal games.
Oh yeah. You're like, busting out the thesaurus on this one.
The what? Busting out the what?
A dictionary. A thesaurus to figure out what artisanal means and what is a synonym of.
Like an artisan, you know, like
yeah. I know what it means. I'm just saying.
Gourmet.
Look at you trying to use the big words to get over like Diablo 4 is not that big of a word, but I'll use this flowery language to describe it that maybe nobody understands.
Bro, it's just
dude, when's the last time anybody has ever heard the word artisanal? Or whatever the hell, however you say it, in regards to a video game.
Boy. I'm a writer.
I'm just saying, when's the last time anybody has heard that? Someone describe a game as that? It's probably been forever. Probably it's probably the first time it's ever been done. Really.
I'm an artisanal gamer. You know, I like games that are artiste, that appeal to my artistic, gourmet, Epicurean tastes. We should say. What the fuck am I talking about?
I don't know.
I ain't even drinking.
Yeah,
I am stone cold sober.
As you should be.
But I'm excited, Rand.
You're excited.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited because we're back on the show.
Yes.
And also, I've got a week off for Christmas.
Yes.
And I don't have to do any writing.
So you're not working right now?
I don't have to do any spreadsheets. Nope.
No working. No spreadsheets. No stories.
I gotta do a little bit of work after the show, but after that, I'm doing nothing. I'm gonna do no work, no articles, nothing.
Yeah, no articles.
I will disappear and I'll play video games nonstop.
So
a whole week. I'm looking forward to it.
Really quickly, give me the real quick about how you feel about the Paladin being added to Diablo 4. Good? Is it good, better, best? Is it bad? Did it bring back your excitement for Diablo? I know a lot of people were hoping. I've seen a lot of people say, "Oh my God, the Paladin's back! Now it's time to actually play Diablo 4." So
yeah, it's
the
funny,
excitement back for Diablo?
I'm kind of in two minds about it, right? Because I think I'm gonna keep this brief because I know a lot of people here aren't really into Diablo, but there is like this whole Diablo versus Path of Exile thing going on, right? Like you're all aware of this, right? Diablo versus Path of Exile, and I think what's really happened is there's two styles of Diablo have emerged. There's people who want Diablo 2, which is like the Path of Exile kind of experience, and there's people who really want Diablo 3, which is like, you know, I'm gonna smash things as fast as possible with tons of numbers all over the screen. At least that's my interpretation of it. I'm someone who came into Diablo with Diablo 3, right? Okay. So I'm kind of that ilk. But at the same time, I think my big issue with Diablo's endgame that Paladin can't fix is that the game's just too easy. It's just too damn easy.
Even on what difficulty are you playing on?
Well, you kind of like, as your gear gets better, you go up the ranks of difficulty, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
But even on the absolute hardest difficulty, Torment 4, the game is painfully easy, and it's like you just walk around, one shot in the bosses, one shot in everything. The only real difficulty you can find is by pushing this arbitrarily increasingly scaling dungeon called the Pit. That's the only way to really find any true difficulty in the game. And that's kind of like where they're going to focus leaderboards when they arrive in January, I think, because people want leaderboards or something like that. Or something called the Tower coming. I don't know exactly what it is because, again, I'm a bit of a Diablo casual. But it took me literally took me 3 or 4 days maybe of pretty casual play to complete the whole season, kill every boss, get 2 mythics, which is the rarest loot, and have a complete build, which I could use to push the pit if I wanted to. But it just doesn't feel like much point in doing it. So while Paladin is awesome and fun and has amazing animations, cool abilities and all that kind of stuff, it really feels the plate wearing sort of, Crusader kind of fantasy that everyone thought Diablo 4 lacked at launch. And Diablo 3 lacked at launch, actually, because they only added Crusader afterwards. I think Diablo still has some fundamental issues to address with its endgame and with its staying power and its potential longevity. So those are my quick boilerplate thoughts on the Paladin. And I'll probably write about that in more detail for anyone who's interested later on. But
Sounds
yeah,
good.
now that that's done with, I've been playing Fallout 4 again.
Jeez.
I've been playing Fallout 4, man. It's because the TV show, man. I feel like I can't move around on social media without seeing something related to Fallout. And Fallout just got Xbox Play Anywhere, so I know it works really well on the Xbox Ally. Yeah, it did.
The reviews for season 2 are better than season 1 when the reviews for season 1 were really good. So it's got a really high Rotten Tomato score and all that stuff. Interestingly, though, Prime normally drops 3 episodes at once for most of the shows, and then they do an episode a week. With Fallout Season 1, they did the whole binge, which I think really contributed to its overall success.
So it's hype, yeah?
This time, they just dropped 1 episode, which they normally don't do that. So there's only 1 episode available for Fallout Season 2. I'm, of course, a binger. I will wait until the show's almost finished in February to watch it. But I am super excited to check it out whenever it does. But yeah, I do see Fallout all over the timeline. I see Todd Howard saying that it's going to tie to the games. That Fallout 5 is going to take place after, or like events that happen in the show, or like during events that happen in the show. I think that's kind of cool, and that's the way that should have been done. Where like you can incorporate things that happened in the show or reference them in the game or in the game. It's like not a direct sequel, but something that's happening on the side where you could probably reference it through dialogue or world events that would happen. I think that's like the best way to do it. I don't know. That's personally what I think. But did you watch the first episode?
I haven't watched it yet because I watch it with my girlfriend. However, I'm going to watch season 1 again with my parents.
Okay.
Because
the normies, huh?
The normies. They watched Fallout episode 1 because it was like there was a huge ad for it on the Samsung dashboard for Fallout on Prime, and they watched it on a whim and enjoyed it. So I said,
it's a good show.
They didn't even know it was a video game.
No.
Yeah. So it's like it's penetrated through to the normie universe. So we're gonna watch season 1 with them, and then when I go back to Germany in a week or so, week or 2, then I'll start watching season 2 with my girlfriend. But because of the hype, I've been playing Fallout again. I missed all the Fallout DLC. I played Fallout 4 to death, but I didn't do any of the DLC. And now all the DLC's launched and the TV show's back and it's got Play Anywhere, I thought, you know what? I feel like going back and playing some Fallout. So I've been playing Fallout on the Xbox Ally. Runs like a dream. It runs in low power mode as well, while simultaneously somehow looking better than it does on the Xbox Series X. So they've done some really good optimizations on the Xbox Ally for that thing. So even like in low power mode, that gives you maximum battery life, right? So you're looking at like what, 3 hours at least on low power mode, while also running mostly at 60 frames a second. It's maybe like, I don't know, 60 frames, like, I don't know. Every time you're in an interior, it's 60 frames. In the open world, it maybe goes down to 40 frames sometimes, maybe 30. Because, the open world can, when there's loads of buildings stacked on top of each other and interiors and stuff like that, it can get a bit more resource intensive. But I can't believe how well it runs, man. And obviously, Play Anywhere is nice. Play it on the Xbox. I want a big TV. Same save file, all that stuff. So yeah, I've been playing Fallout again. I forgot how much I really enjoyed the game, even though I don't like the voice protagonist. Maybe there's a mod that gets rid of that, and I can download it, maybe. But yeah, I've been loving that. But yeah, Fallout. It does. Some of the interviews about Fallout TV show did have some morsels of information about what they're potentially gonna do with, the future of Fallout. Because they've been talking about everything from TV show. Todd's been talking about what's next for Fallout universe and all that kind of stuff. And he's kind of like, I don't know. They said
Well,
something
they
along
said
the lines
they
of
did
we're
say
investing the most into Fallout.
yes, they
right
did
now.
say like they have the most going on with the Fallout franchise. I don't know. I forget the exact
Yeah.
quote. I don't know if it was like the most games or the most investment, but it was basically saying like, yeah, we're so into like Fallout, which I mean makes sense when you're considering, Bethesda themselves. It's like, yeah, we know Fallout 5 is going to come eventually, but there are rumors that not only is there a Fallout 3 remake, but potentially a Fallout New Vegas remake even after that. And like,
Yeah.
People are like, what is Obsidian doing? Are they doing a Fallout game? Even though Tim Kaine said no. Yeah, is a different studio potentially doing like a new Fallout? Right? It definitely seems like there's multiple projects of Fallout related stuff happening at Xbox and
I think
Bethesda.
it's one of the things we always talked about when they first acquired ZeniMax back in the day. We both immediately was like, Microsoft's surely going to want them to do something with Fallout, right? But the timelines didn't line up, and like they had all the Starfield stuff going on, they had Elder Scrolls announced, and people waiting for that with bated breath. And I suppose they invested a lot in fixing up and improving Fallout 76, which Fallout 76 is doing really well on the back of the TV show, and also on the back of the hard work of the devs. Like they've put a ton of work into improving that game. So huge kudos to them, right? But I think what people really want to see is a Fallout 5 or, some of those remakes you were describing, especially in the wake of Oblivion remake, which was well received.
It's also one of the best selling games of the year.
Yeah, one of the best selling games of the year, per Circana and others. So I think out of all of Microsoft franchises right now, even like beyond Halo, which back in the day you would never have said something like this. I think Fallout probably has more potential than any other franchise this side of Minecraft. Because I don't think Call of Duty is having a movie, but let's be completely real. Do we think the Call of Duty movie is going to be good? Because I don't.
I would say probably not. I guess it depends on how much control Activision keeps over it and who's directing it. Because there was that whole report that Steven Spielberg wanted to do it, if you remember, and we were like, why wouldn't you want to? But he wanted a lot of control, and they didn't want to give up control. And it's like, why wouldn't you want Steven Spielberg? Granted, I will admit, Steven Spielberg is not really the director he used to be, but he's still a great director. Like, he put out a new trailer for his new movie coming next year, Disclosure Day, which is like an alien sci-fi sort of thing, which, Spielberg and aliens always means good times. But, you're sitting there and you think about all like the video game movie stuff and how well or how much, if like something's good, how much it impacts the games and helps them sell even more. It's like, man, like a Spielberg Call of Duty film, that could raise the profile of the game. But then it's like, if you don't do that, and it's because let's be honest right now, Call of Duty's having some issues, Jez. I think it's doing a lot worse than even you had thought. Because I think even though people were saying, hey, the Call of Duty, it's not really, it's not gonna. It's going to do okay. It's still going to be top like 3 game of the year or whatever it is. And, then the numbers came out for November and it's like Monster Hunter Wilds outsold it, Jez. Borderlands 4 outsold it. It's like
Borderlands
numbers
4 outsold COD?
Yeah, well, like by like dollar sales, right? Like they're not like Circana's ranking them by like money, but that's fine because like, Call of Duty has the super expensive stuff anyways, but it was Madden outsold it and college football outsold it. And because I remember sending it to you, I was just like, yeah, no wonder they made that blog post. No wonder they made that blog post basically apologizing to everybody and being like, hey, we're never going to do this again. We're going to be doing this, and then the third. And it's like, yeah, because the sales were really, really poor, especially in comparison to the other stuff. And it's just like, all right, yeah. So like this Call of Duty was definitely a downward trend. And it's probably something they're super concerned about, considering we've seen reports about how much these games cost to make, $400 million every single year, which is normally fine when you're selling a shit ton and making a shit ton in microtransaction revenue, and you're making $1 billion on whatever, so you're making a ton of money, but what happens when you aren't selling that anymore and you're not making the money and you're not selling all that stuff because your player base isn't as big as it was, and their, population is being stole by Arc Raiders or being siphoned off by Battlefield 6 and stuff. So you gotta do something, right?
Yeah. Well, I've heard a bunch of things about Call of Duty recently myself. Like, for example, I heard there was some kind of internal presentation about the next 2 Call of Duties recently. Obviously, I think it's pretty obviously known that they plan these games years in advance, so that's not exactly revelatory.
Yeah.
But I was told like there's a real hunger in the team to get back on top, and because they're not used to losing, kind of thing. And
it's one thing to lose to like Hogwarts Legacy, which sells 40 million units as they just announced, right? But then another thing to lose to college football, a yearly game, and Madden and Borderlands and stuff that you usually normally dominate, right? So
exactly. So there is obviously there's a lot of soul searching in the team, and I do think like Call of Duty's been in a situation before where they've had an off year for whatever reason, and then they bounce back. So like I'm not a huge COD fan, I'm not a huge COD player, so like I always sort of want to caveat that kind of stuff because I know the hardcore Call of Duty community is like a different beast, and I don't understand a lot of the history about where the game's been, where it's going, and that kind of thing. But I only repeat what I hear as part of doing the Microsoft beat. Because obviously now Call of Duty is part of Microsoft, and my sources have always been Microsoft. That's kind of like where I end up sort of hearing things these days. But yeah, there's a real hunger in the team to get things back on track. I think like they're kind of like a lot of service games and products of that nature right now, and especially like more legacy kind of franchises. They're kind of, I mean, we were literally talking about this with Diablo earlier, like these sort of like older franchises where the player base is become sort of split between how things used to be and how like the younger players want things to be, right? Which is why like Path of Exile players want it to be. You often can't see people talk about Path of Exile without them mentioning how Diablo used to be. Path of Exile is, by the dev's own admission, Path of Exile is a reaction to Diablo 3. I think the game was like born out of the drama with Diablo 3's real money auction house and stuff like that. If I'm remembering correctly, we're going back like over a decade here, I think, at this point. But like the point being that there are people who want the Nicki Minaj skins clearly, and they buy them, and obviously the bean counters want the Nicki Minaj skins because those things that make money. But who's counting the negative impact that these kind of skins have on the brand and its visibility and its appeal and its viability with the core audience, right? So there's this sort of like generational divide where it's like Fortnite was almost always a game where they had all these crossovers and this pop culture stuff. And Call of Duty tried to co-opt that a little bit. There's some Fallout skins coming to Call of Duty, for example.
Which is cool.
Even Diablo's had some. Yeah, it's cool. It's fine, But there are people who want it to be the sort of gritty kind of game, and that was kind of the big narrative over the summer was Battlefield better because it's and EA really leaned into that. Like, we're doing this for the community. We want this to be a grand experience. Blah 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 blah. All that. No weird skins. And like they added one blue skin and the Battlefield players went crazy. Like, oh my god, they're doing it. They pushed back really hard. So it's kind of like it's good to lean into that stuff, but then you've got there's consequences there if you do that, right? So I think Call of Duty is kind of struggling with that generational thing. Like, how do we manage to appeal to both, right? Both audiences. How do we do that? I think they can do that. And I always say, Rand, and I know you say they won't do it, but I think they should just add a bloody toggle and let me have a visual, a thing that visually turns off all those Nicki Minaj skins and all that kind of stuff.
It would be nice. Look, I'm not saying they shouldn't add it because I don't think I think it's something that consumers would want, but like, you look at it from the business perspective, like, why would they give that to you? Because that's what makes you want the skins, because you see other people using them and stuff, right? So
yeah, sure. But you could bury it in the settings and make it so only people who really want it go looking for it. But anyway, like, I don't even think
make a subscription and being like, we have the COD subscription, and then put it behind the subscription tier. So anybody that really wants to use it has to be subscribed to it. I'm just saying.
No, don't put that energy out there, bro. I mean, yeah, if there's any Activision finance people listening to this, like Rand just handed you a banger there.
Like give a subscription like Fortnite First or whatever the hell the Fortnite thing is, where you get like V-Bucks every month. Just give them some COD coins so they can go buy their skins, and then have like a filter where you can turn it off. Right? I mean, print money for you. At the very least, print money for you.
I mean, they could just have it as a. I mean, if they could just have it as a microtransaction if they really wanted to be dicks about it. But whatever. I don't think the skins are necessarily the only issue with Call of Duty. Obviously, I think like the campaign kind of was way out of scope with what people expected, and I think maybe because people always say, "Oh, COD's the same every year, year in year out," and then they try something different, and then everyone hates it. And I kind of suppose like different is fine, but it has to be actually good. So I think there's issues beyond the skins. Like let's not act as though the skins are the only issue with Call of Duty, because it's clearly not the case. I think like the back-to-back themes were an issue. Clearly, Activision realized that, which is why they put out that thing saying they wouldn't do Black Ops twice in a row ever again. And I think there's also just sort of this whole fatigue. It's Rand. Is it not kind of a tough sell, Rand, when you're priced at $70 and Fortnite is free?
Yeah, of course.
For that audience, isn't it a tough sell? Isn't it potentially a tough sell if you're priced at $70 and then Arc Raiders is priced at, what was it, 40?
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, is it not a tough sell? So I think and also Battlefield as well was there fighting its corner. Although it does feel like the Battlefield conversation dropped off pretty quickly after launch, going to be honest. But there was a confluence round of events that did hurt Call of Duty this year, and I think I don't think they're going to take that line down. As for fans of the franchise, they ain't going to take that line down.
Yeah.
It's funny because people have been calling me a Call of Duty shill for saying some of this stuff, because it was funny that Call of Duty was still November's best-selling game despite the issues it's been having. So that was a thing. And if you call attention to the fact that sales are probably down because it's literally in Game Pass, which has literally tens of millions of subscribers still.
Yeah, but so is last year's and last year's
in 6 months.
So is last year's, but last year sold considerably more apparently. So
sure. But I also think they're clearly going to expect Game Pass engagement for Call of Duty to go up year over year. They're not expecting it to go down. So where's that extra engagement going to come from on Game Pass for Call of Duty? They put Call of Duty in Game Pass on purpose to increase Game Pass, not increase Game Pass Call of Duty sales. They can't have their cake and eat it, can they? Do you think they were really sitting there thinking, oh, if we put Call of Duty in Game Pass, the sales are going to go up? I would hope they were thinking
not with the game already that big. I don't think. No.
But anyways, confluence of events. But I think Call of Duty will bounce back, at least on PlayStation and other platforms, and also a Nintendo Switch version, which I've heard is progressing nicely and should launch next year. So that'll give it another bounce, because it'll be the first time Call of Duty's been on Switch.
This will be first time in a long time since COD's been on Switch. It's been on there before, but it's been a long time.
Was it Ghosts that was on Switch?
I don't know which one, but I know one of them was.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I think Call of Duty will bounce back. I don't think if you're a fan of Call of Duty, I think there's no need to panic yet. But hey ho.
Let's do some housekeeping really quickly. Get back into it.
Yeah, let's do some housekeeping.
Do us a big favor, hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Let everybody know that we're live on whatever platforms you post on. Xbox 2 is here, episode 392, if I'm not mistaken. 8 episodes to the big 400. This episode is once again brought to you by one of Jez's favorite companies recently, Surfshark.
Oh yeah, they
yes.
Are. Yes, Surfshark VPN. Rawr. Rawr. So yeah, Surfshark VPN is sponsoring Xbox 2 podcast, and those guys have been absolutely amazing to us. So, you know, if you like having privacy on your interwebs, do please check them out. And they've been very good to us. And yeah, just
they have a new deal,
in fact,
right?
Rand,
A new deal?
they do have a new deal. They do have a new deal. But Rand, could you do, before we do that, can you do the shout outs first?
Shit.
Because I've just got to deal with something real quick.
So we also have our wonderful Patreon members. Me and Jez should be doing a show on Tuesday. If Jez is feeling up to it, if he's feeling good, because Jez has been dealing with headaches basically every day, so trying to get that sorted out. Question and answer thread is up for anybody who wants to drop us a line. We will answer at the end of the show. And we have the shout-outs here for the Xbox 2 MVPs. We got Adam Bartolo, Armadillo 52C, Asa T and Madison, Battered Haddock, Briggs Country, Bright Tundra 1, Silas, Discarded Caboose, Fan Testicles, Foreign Object, Glenn, Governor Grimm, I'm Mike Zero, Inner Machine, James Moore, James Wiseau, Justin Duel, Katrox, Laser Wolf, Pat Rock, Frosty, RS Donk, Scarcely Relevant, Sean Kramer, Shay Elephant, Shrapnel, Trickstar for Trey, Wagerman, and Wolfgang KPZ. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support me and Jez here on the Xbox 2.
Yes, indeed. And like Rand said, we are planning to have a show next week on Tuesday, a sort of Christmassy theme show. How should we do a Christmassy theme show? How do we do Christmassy themed? Yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, we're also sponsored by the amazing people over at Surfshark VPN. So I'm just going to drop that ad read right now. So yes, guys, we have a new deal for you from Surfshark VPN. This is called the Winter Deal, and it's ranging from December 2nd till January 5th for the low price of $1.99 per month. You not only get Surfshark VPN and ad block, 2-year subscription, but also now 3 months extra. So that's on top of the, I think it was 1 or 2 months extra before. Now it's 3 months extra. Surfshark VPN, and that's with our code surfshark.com/XB2. Which
Isn't it surfshark.net, not .com?
No, it's either actually, but I think they prefer surfshark.com. So yeah, .net works, but .com/XB2. So looking forward to smarter way to stay safe online? Surfshark VPN is your all-in-one shield for private, effortless browsing. Whether you're streaming your favorite sites, climbing the ranks in your go-to games, or just scrolling the latest trends, Surfshark keeps you covered with lightning-fast speeds and support for unlimited devices. Want true internet freedom? Surfshark breaks down digital walls with ease. No more geo-blocks, no more limits. Unlock global content, explore without borders, and enjoy a smoother, cleaner web thanks to Surfshark's Clean Web feature, which blocks ads, trackers, and malware all before they can slow you down. With a strict no logs policy, your activity stays exactly where it belongs, with you. RAM-based servers prevent data from being uploaded or stolen, and Surfshark's advanced encryption wraps your personal data in serious protection, giving you total confidence every time you connect. Surfshark's also independently audited as well for privacy, so there's that extra layer of confidence there. Here's the offer. Xbox 2 podcast listeners get an incredible 86% off a 2-year Surfshark plan. Take back your online freedom. Hit the link in the description to get started. Search safely, surf securely, and surf with Surfshark. Rare. So yeah, Surfshark VPN, ad block, 2-year subscription for $1.99 a month, plus 3 months extra. There's also Surfshark One, which includes VPN, antivirus search, alert, and alternative ID products, which lets you sign up for websites with like a sort of protected email address and stuff like that. 2-year subscription for $2.99 a month and 3 months extra for 2 years. And then Surfshark One Plus, which also includes Incogni, which I think I've seen advertised on other YouTube channels, which is sort of like it's a service which goes around the internet and sort of asks data brokers to remove your data for you. I think I've seen that listed on other YouTube channels. So 2-year subscription for $4.99 a month plus 3 months extra. It's a really, really good deal. They support us really well over the years, and They're supporting us into 2026 as well. So, yeah, check them out.
All right, Jez. I want to circle back to the Game Awards. Because while we talked about the awards themselves, I want to know what game trailers you fancied out of all the ones that you saw that made you excited.
Game trailers.
Yeah, what
Put me on the spot
announcements?
there.
What announcements rocked you? Are we? Something tells me you're not really a big Star Wars fan, so the Star Wars Fate of the Old Republic probably didn't do anything for you, right?
Well, the thing is, I do love Star Wars, but it's also like it's also one of them. I think Jason Schreier. I think Jason Schreier said something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing him here a bit, but he said something along the lines of, "Don't expect this to launch,
They'd
until
be
2030
optimistic
or
to
something like
2030,
that."
but then Casey Hudson and a lot of people came out and challenged him. Basically said,
Yeah, indeed.
you're wrong. So 2029 then? I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, 2029. Yeah, something like that. It'll be interesting to see if that actually lands before 2030 now, after that. But I kind of feel like a lot of the Old Republic projects have sort of ended up in development hell and stuff like that. And a lot of these newly formed studios from ex mega publisher alumni and stuff like that, they've often had issues getting out the door for whatever reason, fair or not, right? So I'm a little skeptical about it. So I'm reserving judgment there to some degree. Because
Right.
I have no idea if that
Well,
shit's ever gonna even come out, bro.
I mean, I hope it comes out. Casey Hudson
Yeah, me
was the
too.
director on Knights of the Republic and the Mass Effect trilogy. He hasn't really done much since Mass Effect. Or no, maybe I think he also maybe directed Anthem. I could be wrong on that, but nobody remembers Anthem. Was a cool announcement, and then that kind of paired up with Stephen Tottilla's reporting of the two Knights of the Republic games that are still being made, like the remakes. One's with Saber, and then like the other games with someone else. So they're supposedly remaking KOTOR 1 and 2. And I could see that as a scenario, a very much a Tomb Raider scenario, because the new Tomb Raiders were announced at this show, and they're doing a thing where the first Tomb Raider game is 2026, but then Tomb Raider Catalyst is 2027, and a part of me wonders if they would do the same thing with Star Wars, where it's like KOTOR 1, 2027, KOTOR 2 remake 2028, and then leading up to KOTOR, or not KOTOR, but Fate of the Old Republic 2029, where you could have something leads into it every single year, which I really enjoy. And it seems like even Resident Evil's kind of doing that. They haven't always done that. They mix and match, but it's not every year. But supposedly the rumors are, we have 9 in February next year. And then supposedly the strategy is Resident Evil Code Veronica in 2027, and then Resident Evil 0 in 2028. So I think it's kind of fun to have like every year look forward to something from a franchise that you really like that leads up maybe into a bigger event. Like I really like the Tomb Raider announcements because I really like Tomb Raider 1, and I'm also a big fan of the Crystal Dynamics games. So being able to replay Tomb Raider 1 with like all the bells and whistles, like it's a Dead Space remake or a Resident Evil 2 remake, and playing that next year, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. Knowing that also you're gonna have another one of our adventures the following year, I think that's really cool. I wish more studios would do that, honestly. Where
What do you think of the design?
I like it. It's fine.
Because that was some controversy there.
I mean, there's always controversy with that stuff. I mean, I don't know. It's just how it is. People are gonna say she's too hot, or it's going to say she's not hot enough and she's actually ugly, and why does she look this way and why does she look that way? That's what the discourse is. People are never going to be happy about, or you're never going to please all the people all the time, right? So there are always going to be people that are upset in some fashion or form. It's just how loudly do they talk. But I'm a fan of the strategy because I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm a fan too. It does, but it genuinely does feel like everyone's just mad at everything all the time. Of
course, because social media empowers that.
Even the smallest, most lukewarm things, people get really mad about. But yeah, I don't know.
Anything else?
Anything else? I mean, one of the things about the Game Awards, which I saw plenty of discourse about, was like it wasn't that amazing. And I'm honest, I'm kind of struggling to
Control
think of things
2 or
that I was.
Control Resonant?
Yeah, Control Resonant. I mean, I saw Control Resonant the week before behind closed doors, virtual closed doors. That was really cool and made me want to go back and play the first one. A lot of the stuff, like, we kind of like we got like new trailers for Resident Evil Requiem, Pragmata, but I played both of those and I'm already excited for those. So I
You got
kind
a
of don't.
release date for
I don't.
Pragmata. April
Yeah,
24th.
release
Don't have
date
to wait
finally.
long. Not that long.
Yeah, very cool game. Very cool game. Very interesting game. Um, it's it's kind of like a active puzzle shooter, but like you'd think. Honestly, I was kind of stunned when I played it because I was like, this shouldn't work, but it just does. It genuinely works. I just sort of intrigued about whether or not, I suppose, the story lands or whether it's got the staying power and things like that. But it's a really cool game. It's really slick. And then obviously Leon Kennedy and Resident Evil Requiem, that was huge news. But the others, like, and then the Diablo Paladin stuff, I've been teasing since November. Keeping that secret was really, really hard. Oh man, I was sitting there thinking, oh man, I'd get so many clicks if I leaked this.
And then there's the Divinity thing.
We don't do that anymore. And then there was the Divinity statue, which is, and the stuff about Diablo Paladin dropping, like, that's why I genuinely thought that statue must be for Diablo, because it's like, they're really pushing this season, And I heard that the reason Paladin, and I don't know if this is true, but I heard the reason Paladin was launching now was because they brought it forward because they were worried about the impact of Grand Theft Auto. So Grand Theft Auto was originally dropping when the Diablo expansion's dropping,
like a month later,
right? Yeah, something like that. So they were thinking like, well, let's drop Paladin now, to get people excited about Diablo again and all that kind of thing. And it was like, because some people were speculating that it was all to do with Path of Exile and their Druid DLC, Druid season. I think it's called The Last of the Druids. But nah, from what I heard, it was all about Grand Theft Auto. But then it ended up not being necessary because, as we all know, Grand Theft Auto is now delayed.
Yeah.
So,
which everybody expected, but if you're running a business, you can't always expect that. You got to plan for every eventuality, right? So it's like,
yeah, sure, but it's also like this is just rumor mill stuff. It might not even be true, so it's whatever. But
yeah, so
yeah,
by your accounting,
Paladin I was excited for, but nothing else was really that particularly spectacular. Like, there was Warhammer 40k, Total War. I think it's called Total War.
Yeah, I mean that's right
Total
up your alley.
Warhammer 40k.
That seems
so
like
now
there's
there's
two
thing. Yeah, I think there's two. There's Dawn of War 4 and Total War Warhammer 40k coming now. So fans of Total War Warhammer strategy games are eating pretty damn
being
great
pretty good.
They're eating pretty good. But yeah, other than that, it was kind of I don't know.
It seemed like a low key year.
I don't want to say low key. Oh,
I'll say it because it sort of did feel, especially in comparison to last year. This year, I mean, I thought overall it was a good show. I think I rated it a B on his poll, but like D really dominated because I think these shows are always they live or die based on the high quality of their reveals, and the fact that you're sitting here being like, well, there wasn't that many headliners.
I don't know if I'm being like, I don't know if I'm being unfair, but I just didn't really. Nothing there was really sort of like shocking for me. I mean,
sure.
Even if I didn't know about Diablo or Control Resonant and stuff like that, I suppose the Divinity stuff was cool. But at the same time, I'm not a huge fan of the Divinity franchise or Baldur's Gate 3. So
yeah, obviously there'll be the whole like your personal preferences on stuff like that. Like,
yeah, there was some.
Once again, though, hey, the numbers came in and it's up 11% from last year, like 170 million streams or whatever it was. He said so. Every single year, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So kudos to Jeff for that, for building something of that magnitude.
No, it's really awesome.
But Yeah, let's
but
talk.
it is, like you said, it's not about the awards. It's about the trailers.
Yeah,
and because the trailers weren't, I suppose, super hot this year, then some people were, I suppose, a little bit disappointed. But at the same time, it's kind of like, did you see the reports about how much a trailer costs there? Like $1 million.
Yeah, $1 million. So
if I'm a company, this is the era of direct to consumer, right? If I'm a company with a YouTube channel, like even the WWE, for God's sake, is going direct to consumer now. So it's kind of like, why would I want to pay $1 million for this? I mean, yeah, there's a big audience automatically there, but
sure.
if you can build your own show and you've got your own audience and you've got franchises that people already know, if you're debuting a new IP, then maybe. But if you've got like, if you're just gonna drop, like, if you're a Grand Theft Auto or a Mass Effect or a Halo or something, do you need a show like this to make a big splash? I would argue probably not, right?
Well, I mean, that's, you know,
so that was probably why some people swerved it. I don't know.
Well, some people were down on the fact that Xbox didn't show up. Man, they had the Game Pass trailer, which was an extended trailer, which I thought the trailer was pretty good. And it's like, hey, that cost them $1 million. But I mean, what else are you really going to promote at the Game Awards when you have your own show that you're doing in a month, right?
I also saw a hilarious article that was like, Microsoft share price crashes on no show at the Game Awards, and I'm like, you really think shareholders give a shit about this? I can tell you now, they do not give a shit about this.
Let me read a couple of super chats here. We got a guy named JoJo says, "Welcome back, Jez." The question,
JoJo's.
Yeah,
it's a motherfucking JoJo reference.
A guy named JoJo. All right. The question everyone wants to know:
is our adventure.
Will Scalebound be at the Developer Direct? Cheers and Merry Christmas. Scalebound making a comeback. Gonna be.
Do you think Scalebound will be there, Rand?
No, I think there's maybe a chance of Kamiya, because that was his game, but Kamiya left Platinum, and you know Xbox and Platinum were working together with Ninja Gaiden 4, so you know, thinking back on the rumors of maybe the potentially bringing it back, maybe there is some smoke to that, where you know he was still there and Xbox was working on it, and it was his baby, so I could see it, but okay, but he's left the company, and I just don't see that game. I just don't see it happening now with him gone. I mean, I guess it's possible Xbox works with his new company or whatever, but I don't know. I also feel like that ship is sailed at this point. But
ship has sailed.
That ship has sailed.
That ship has sailed.
We got Silas Super Chat says, "Put in order what is most likely to happen first to last: Jez's wedding, WoW 2, Minecraft 2, and a non-podcast Rand video. Most likely happened first to last. Well, a non-podcast Rand video, that's definitely one. 2 would be...
You got plans for a video?
Minecraft 2. 3 would be WoW 2, and then 4 would be Jez's wedding. So Jez's wedding would be...
in order
of most likely to least likely. So your wedding is the least likeliest out of all those.
What? I don't think so, bro.
Yeah.
I don't think so, bro.
Hello, Kitty.
So you got plans for a video?
No, I'm saying I could see myself putting out videos this upcoming year, but I don't see there being a WoW 2, Minecraft 2, or your wedding happening next year. So that's definitely way more likely.
Yeah, we'll see.
Hello, Kitty drops a $1 with no message. Thank you. Reforge Head Gaming says, "Is Tim Kaine working on a new Fallout?" What do you think, Jez? He rejoined Obsidian as full-time employee, but then he definitely said, "You're not going to be able to guess what the game is." Now, like, I guess you could say, is he lying? Because like everybody's going to guess Fallout.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? What's Tim Kaine? Do you think he's working on a Fallout game, or is it something else?
Well, I mean, everyone would probably guess Fallout, right?
Yeah, that's what the first thing everybody's going to guess.
Yeah, but like there's caveats to the way he said this, right? It's kind of like when the guy from Larian said, "No, we're definitely not working on Divinity Original Sin 3." And then it wasn't Divinity Original Sin, it was Divinity, right? So there's that whole maybe it's like it's not Fallout New Vegas 2, it's Fallout 1 remake, you know, a Fallout 2 remake or Fallout Tactics 2 or something like that, right? Probably no one would ever guess Fallout Tactics 2, or maybe even like a Fallout CRPG instead of a Fallout you know, New Vegas 2 or something like that. But I have no insight into what he's going to be working on, but I do know that there are multiple projects greenlit at Obsidian right now. I don't know what they are. Some are bigger, some are smaller, and I mean that's not a revelation. Of course, they're working on new stuff, but it's like they also put out a blog post yesterday, which sort of recapped the stuff they've got coming for the next year, which is Outer Worlds 2 DLC, Avowed update, and a range of updates for Grounded 2. And then like I'm hearing that they've also got another several projects greenlit. It's like these guys are so productive. Are they like possibly Microsoft's most productive studio? They probably are, right? But I don't. But you have to like wonder: did like Avowed hit its projections? Did Outer Worlds 2 hit its projections? Because I don't. I feel like a lot of people overlooked both of those games. I mean, have you played either of them? I can't remember
What games?
because I haven't really. Avowed and the Outer Worlds.
I played Avowed. Did not play Outer Worlds 2. I actually quite like Avowed. I think I gave it an 8. There was a point where when in the beginning of the game I was not feeling it and I was gonna delete it, but eventually the more I played, the more I got into it of the exploration combat, I really started liking it. I mean, I do think the story stuff is probably the weakest element of the game, but I did quite enjoy Avowed. Outer Worlds 2 I did not play. So
yeah, well, I just wonder if they hit their metrics and their targets for those games, and you know, if they didn't, then would that be like, would that be them thinking like, okay, well, Avowed didn't do that well, should we make a sequel? Or the Outer Worlds 2 didn't do that well, should we make a sequel? Or should we perhaps move on to something new?
I would say,
Or
Jez,
revisit the Fallout franchise?
if the Outer Worlds 2 didn't do good or didn't meet projections, then you're done with that franchise. It's the second one, it's supposed to go up, right? Or at least make money in some manner of like, it's the second one, so more people know about it. If Avowed's a part of a franchise and Pillars of Eternity, right?
Yeah.
But
and they are working on a big update for Pillars.
Right,
They're
but
adding,
I mean that's not that big of a franchise.
Turn-based mode,
and there's a reason why they named
it
Avowed and not Pillars of Eternity Avowed, because it would have turned off new players. There's probably a better chance of making something. There's a better chance of them having Avowed blow up with the second game than Outer Worlds blowing up with a third game, in my opinion. Right? Like, you gave Outer Worlds a chance, and like for whatever reason, if it remained stagnant or didn't increase, then it's like, all right, well, we tried doing it, didn't work. Let's do something else. And maybe it is like Fallout. Maybe it's like just in that right time where like they're looking to do way more Fallout content, so now you can do something like that. Because I mean, Chris Avellone, I don't know, he did say they are working on Avowed 2 at, and I know people don't trust him, and he's a pariah or what have you, but I mean, people do claim he still has contacts at Obsidian, so maybe it's true they're working on Avowed 2. I don't know. I guess if you would ask me what I would want. Would an Avowed 2 excite me, where I'd be interested in it? And I probably would be, because I could see them like, okay, what worked? Because that game was rebooted a whole bunch of times, and it's just one of those things, well, what if everything kind of went smoothly, as smoothly as you could go for game development, that is, and not have like shifts in direction that throw everything into disarray, where it's like, okay, here's what worked in Avowed, and here's what didn't, and we can build on these things, and here's Avowed 2. Like, considering how much I did like Avowed 1, yeah, I would look forward for an Avowed 2. But I didn't play Outer Worlds 1, so I didn't play Outer Worlds 2, and I'm kind of just like, I don't know if I ever will. So I would prefer them to just make something else. Whether that's Fallout related, sure, I'd be down for that, I guess. Even though I guess you could argue Outer Worlds is Fallout-y in a way, but
I suppose it'd be different because like they'll be working with Creation Engine again, which I know people clown on Creation Engine. But
is that like do you think that's like a mandate? If anybody's working on a Fallout game, it has to use Creation Engine?
I don't think so, because I want to assume that Fallout 3 remake, if it's being made by, is it Virtuous, the company?
Yeah, it's probably the same. It's the same company that made Oblivion remake.
I'd imagine they would use their Unreal Engine version of Creation Engine for it. But one of the things I've heard about Starfield 2.0, you know, so-called 2.0, which we'll talk about in a bit. One of the things I've been hearing about Starfield, sort of, you know, don't call it 2.0.
Well, I called it 2.0. I called it 2.0 in the title, okay, sir?
Yeah, you did. But that's what everyone's calling it. But it's probably a bit of a misnomer, because I don't think this is going to be the silver bullet moment where suddenly everybody loves Starfield. I think if you didn't like Starfield originally, you're still not going to like Starfield after its, you know, round of updates, right? But one of the things I did hear about Starfield is that it is being used as a sort of, I don't want to say sort of test bed, but it's being used as a sort of a way to test Unreal Engine integrations. And the team, I can't remember her name, but the lady from the coalition who ended up leading the advanced technology group, or at least part of it. I can't remember exactly her name or the job title. I think, is it Kate something?
Kate Rayner?
I can't remember. Kate Rayner. Is it Kate Rayner? I can't remember. I'm really sorry, but apparently her team has been leveraging aspects of the Unreal Engine and incorporating those into Creation Engine and improving Creation Engine across the board. And it's had like lots of technological improvements, and those technological improvements, yeah, Kate Rayner, Samuel and Wombat say in the chat, yeah. And technical director, that's right, yeah. So those people have been sort of working on improving the Creation Engine, using Unreal Engine bits and pieces, apparently. This is something I'm still in the process of investigating, so take it with a pinch of salt, please. And that Starfield is having like something of a technical overhaul. And some of those technical overhaul and improvements are also things that are going to inform how the next Fallout plays and how the next Elder Scrolls plays. So presumably, if this is true, and obviously take it with a pinch of salt, if this is true and they're still investing in Creation Engine and they're not fully moving over to Unreal Engine, like they did with the Oblivion remake, I presume that if the team there are working on something new, that it would be on maybe this new Creation Engine or this sort of improved Creation Engine. But at the same time, it's like, could they be the ones doing the New Vegas remake? But then Tim Kaine said you never guess what he's working on. But maybe Tim Kaine's not working on it because they've got multiple projects going on right now. A lot of ways you could speculate about the direction that's going to go in, right? So, yeah, again, this is just rumor mill stuff. None of it might be true. Just take it with a pinch of salt. It's not a report. It's not Windows Central. Just kind of like just spitballing here. But we all want to be hyped about what's next for Fallout, right? And I know I do. I've got a shelf in my room dedicated to Fallout merchandise. I don't quite have there's like a whole genre of YouTube which is like collecting Fallout merchandise, right?
No, I'm sure there's always a section of YouTube that's for something. Although I did get tagged in something on Twitter. It was a new Diablo statue. Are you gonna get that?
A new one?
Oh, yeah, really? There's like a new Diablo statue, Mephisto statue. It's like 20 grand or something, or $2,000 or something like that.
Oh, Mephisto! I love Mephisto.
I'm pretty sure you got tagged in it as well.
Bro, I'm cooked. I can't afford it, and I don't have room. But
bro, come on, you need this though.
Oh, come off it, Rand. I can't afford it, bro. Why are you trying to make me make bad financial decisions? Dude, you know what's absolutely cooked? And I suppose we'll talk about this in a bit, but you know how Microsoft didn't do a Spotify rap this year?
I was going to talk about that. We can talk about that right now. Why not?
Yeah. So Microsoft didn't do a Spotify wrap this year,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
was told it was because they've earmarked a lot of that effort to do some special stuff next year.
Oh.
So like, take that what you will. They did the Xbox Museum for the 20th anniversary,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe they're doing something like that again.
Sure.
Some sort of big 3D
Do you
blowout
think
kind of
that
thing.
do you think that justifies do you think that's a
Skipping
good
rap?
justification for not doing it? Do you think it's a good reason for not doing it, or is it just an excuse for
No,
not doing it?
because well, I don't know. I suppose like the thing is, I work in a corporation, so like I have a different perspective maybe than a lot of people. But I know how difficult it can be to get really simple things done. Now, if it was
What do
me,
you
what
mean?
I would have done is
They didn't just use AI, bro.
no, no,
They're the
no,
AI company,
no.
bro. What do you mean? Just have AI do it.
Oh, no, nobody's using AI for anything serious, bro. But anyways, what if it was me? I would have set up a system that would have been like automated, so it just happens automatically every year. It's not like Spotify reworks their whole algorithm for Wrapped every year. They've just built a system which kind of just does it, right? And Microsoft did do a Wrap last year, if I'm remembering correctly, Rand. Am I remembering correctly? Help
I
me out
think they
here.
did one last year. Yes.
Yeah, so you would think that they'd just have a system in place to facilitate that automatically. But if they don't, as what I was hearing, then it is what it is. But I do also know that working in a corporation, getting some simple things done can be really hard. And if they've got like a team that's dedicated to this kind of thing, and they're being tasked to work on things for the 25th anniversary, and this would require additional investment, additional, hoops to jump through, then, I can see it just being a lower priority for them. But at the same time, I kind of think like, yeah, maybe you should have
Well,
made a system for doing this every year so people can expect it and have fun. Because if you did it last year, then and
I'm
it's
pretty
not
sure.
there, it's
I'm
kind of
pretty
like,
sure they've
why
done it the
isn't it
last couple
there?
years. There might have been 1 year where they didn't do it, but I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure they've done it. Now, here's the thing: is it the end of the world they didn't do it? No. Life will go on. You didn't have the Xbox Wrap thing. But however, the fact that they didn't do it is a joke.
It's not a good look.
It's a joke. Like, I get the, like, I understand. Hey, we're gonna go balls to the wall for the 25th anniversary, but even if they do, that's a year from now. Because I would imagine they're not going to create like an Xbox museum or whatever you would have you, or like your entire stats for your entire history of Xbox. Like that's November 15th of like next year. So that's still a year away or whatever. And granted, like, okay, I don't know how long it takes to build that stuff, but literally
No, but
every
I think it's not. They're not just going to do one thing. The
sure,
impression
they
I
may
got
not.
is that it's not just one thing. It's going to be like
Sure.
multiple things throughout the year, and it's things like BlizzCon because Blizzard has the 35th anniversary, and it's things like Bethesda's 40th anniversary. So
Okay.
there is a
So
confluence,
there just
Rand,
wasn't
of
any money
anniversaries
to
each year.
have like a couple interns sit there and sift through some data and just put it into.
Do you think
Or do you
it
think
would
it's
be a
also
couple of
because
interns?
they look at it and they're like, well, True Achievements does it
I'm playing.
anyways.
I'm playing devil's advocate here
I know, I
because I
know.
would have liked to have seen it too.
No,
But it's
every
like
company does it. It's free
you do
marketing.
want
Like I don't.
if it was bad, if it was like a couple of interns had done it and it was shitty, everyone would be moaning about
I
that.
think people
So
just want the numbers. I think people just want to see that because it kind of comes like Xbox didn't do it, so it sort of sees like they don't care. Once again, Xbox doesn't
I
care.
see that.
Is how people would see it. Like you have your Spotify wraps,
people are seeing it
you
that
have your YouTube wraps, you have your Nintendo wraps, your PlayStation wraps, your Discord. Discord has a wrap for Christ's fucking sake. Like literally
Dude,
everything.
there's a reason. There's a reason I bought it up actually. Let me just tell this anecdote.
Okay.
You were trying to make me make bad financial decisions.
Of buying a Mephisto statue. Ask Jen. Maybe she
Yeah.
can give you a loan. Maybe you guys could buy it together, and then half the year it sits at her place, and then half the year it's at your place. Go halvesies,
Well,
bro.
maybe go halfsies, but the reason I bought it up is because my fucking bank did a Wrapped.
Your bank. Whew.
My bank did a Wrapped, and it was like, "Hey, Jez, you want to know how you spent money this year?" And he pulled up all my bad financial decisions throughout the year, and I'm like, bro, why is my bank doing a rap, man?
That just seems like a checking statement or a year-round banking statement. Be like, here's you spent your money. No, it just
it had all the fucking graphics and shit too, like Spotify does. April was the month you spent the most money, and I'm like, what the fuck happened in April? Oh yeah, it's tax season.
Yeah, tax season.
It's like tax season. So it's like
it's one of those things where it's not a big deal. Like no one's gonna die over it, and it's like everything will go on fine or whatever.
I might die over it.
But like realistically, not even realistically, I don't know, man. It seems like such a joke. You couldn't do it, and like because we got other things we're doing next year, and then when literally every other company on the face of this planet does one, I'll be the first to say I don't know how hard it would be to do this, but like it can't be that difficult. I mean, True Achievements does, and maybe Xbox is like it's fine because all the people who really care about this stuff are on True Achievements anyways, and True Achievements does their own one. And I mean, hell, True Achievements gets all their information by scraping the Xbox APIs, don't they? That's how they get all their stats.
No, they don't. They don't even
have
scrape
like direct access.
They have official access.
So I mean, they're
True
grabbing
has official access.
So they get the official access from Xbox, and they make their own sort of thing. Like maybe for all I know, maybe it's this really, really tough project to put together these statistics from all these millions of people. But you know, they've done it in the past, and then suddenly they didn't do it this year. It makes it seem like they don't really care. Even they obviously do care. I'm just saying, but the perception people have is like all these other companies do it, and Xbox isn't. And then you get into the conspiracy theories of like, well, is Xbox not doing it because they don't want to put out the numbers and figures because they know it's low. You know, like, oh, it shows you that really nobody's playing on Xbox because you get online, it's like
they're
people
telling shareholders that playtime is up though.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, people will say it seems like they're hiding information. Realistic, you know. I just had to laugh because it's like I see everybody. It's free marketing. Free marketing. Everybody posts their stuff, and it's like, boom! Look at everybody's like, look what I played on PlayStation, all my hours and all my games, or look what I played on Switch, and who was my sidekick on Discord, and you know what my favorite song and all this stuff. And it's like, hey, what about Xbox? What is everybody playing on Xbox? And remember, everything's an Xbox now. Nothing. No stats. No posts. Just a hope that they're doing some cool stuff next year, guys. Don't you worry. You know what I mean? Like it's just.
Yeah, I know. I feel you. I feel the same way, but at the same time, I also know I can't invoice a pencil without going through multiple different departments. And I know that Microsoft Legal is anal about everything.
Sure.
So
they're also a $1 trillion company, $3 trillion, whatever, how many trillions they are.
A lot of trillions.
I mean,
several trillions.
Could somebody have done this with the use of AI? They love AI so much. You co-pilot that shit. Right? Come on.
Bro,
what are we doing?
Nobody's using Copilot for anything serious. But nah, you're completely right. But it's also like, yeah, I don't know. The industry is cooked, apparently, in any case. So maybe there really is no money. Maybe you've got it there in the title, bro. Then what was it? November sales apocalypse, basically.
I mean, yeah, like everybody, like, what was that? The worst November in 30 years. Xbox's worst November in history. They were down 70% from previous November. PlayStation was down 40% or 50%. Nintendo was down, and they just put out the Switch 2. You know, it's kind of like, oh, well, the economy combined with the high prices, and PlayStation was selling stuff for $100 off. And, who knows where the consoles are going to be priced next year, considering the RAM apocalypse and all those other things that might affect that. You know, there's rumors that even Valve is kind of looking at like, oh, shit, like, do we have to raise the price of our console because of the RAM situation? And it's just... And it's like, I understand the Xbox thing because you're console compared to last year is like $150 more expensive or $100 more expensive, whatever the number is. I mean, you were selling the Series X for $600 or $650. That's not going to fly anymore. Like the audience that want, like you've maxed out the people who are looking to buy an Xbox at that price point. So they didn't do any sales. There really weren't any like Battlefield 6 sold the most, but I would say there wasn't really any like Hogwarts Legacy or a game that you know, I guess you had to upgrade to next gen. Maybe that'll be like Grand Theft Auto 6 or whatever, but seeing those numbers with what's going on, and then PlayStation having the big discounts and even still also dropping, it's like, whew.
Nintendo Switch in its first holiday?
Supposedly the Nintendo
right?
sold more Switches last year than they did this year with Switch 1 and Switch 2, so it might, I mean, considering the Switch 2 is $100 more expensive, that does not, I don't know if it's ringing, I don't know if all these numbers are ringing alarm bells everywhere, but...
Well, part of me is like, we've been in this situation before where companies have priced their consoles at a certain price, and the market says, no, this is beyond the maximum we're willing to pay. Or, furthermore, we're happy to stay where we are, because, you know, monthly active users aren't going down for PlayStation and Xbox. Or at least not in a huge amounts. It's just that people are just staying where they are, and they've got Fortnite, Overwatch, you know, whatever. They've still got all those games on their past gen systems. So like, if the whole thing is like, we want you to upgrade to next gen, like you said, there's nothing. And also, there is a sort of like, there's data constantly flowing that like 14 games take up like 90% of the playtime hours, and the vast majority of those games are on last gen. So it's less about like the industry's dying and more about people are just staying where they are, because service games are perpetually updated on PS4 and Xbox One. You know, I think that's probably impacting Sony more than it's impacting Xbox. I think Xbox is probably also coupled with the fact that it's become a pariah and it doesn't have exclusives anymore. And people are like, what reason is there to buy an Xbox, you know, right now? Unless you're heavily invested in the ecosystem, in which place you've probably already upgraded, right? Like you said, it's the people that are still on Xbox are the people that are really invested in it. But we're living times where people are less invested in core gaming than ever. And there are, you know, Fortnite won its court case, and you know, Fortnite's coming back to iOS and iPad, and that's becoming a thing. And some of the key growth markets like India, you know, they're sort of like mobile first gaming regions. And if you look at some analytics like from Newzoo, and you look at analytics from Sakana and some of these other places, it's kind of like mobile and PC are the segments that are growing, whereas console is flat at best. At best, it's flat. At worst, it's doing worse than being flat. So, you know, there's a confluence of issues, Rand. I think there is a generational shift we're seeing where the younger generations, they think of core gaming as a boomer kind of activity. You know, Rand being the boomer here, of course, and me being the Gen Z. And there's probably an issue of free to play being just so available and high quality now. Like, you know, Genshin Impact it looks like a AAA game might have looked like last gen, you know, and it gets updates like as if it was a premium kind of quality title. Back in the day, mobile games looked like shit and played like shit, and that's just not the case anymore, frankly.
That is true.
You know, mobile chips have just gotten so much better, and so on and so forth. And like you said, lack of a truly compelling sort of like must-have normie experience.
Yeah,
like
I mean, I look at like,
GTA
6 going to definitely help next year, but then I also look at like next year is going to be 6 years into the generation. Does everybody who want a console already have the console? Is GTA 6 really going to push, like, it's going to push units, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's not. But is it going to push as much as the industry hopes it will? because by then PlayStation would probably be 90 plus million already. You know, the series is, I don't know, whoever you talk to, the series either sold 20 million, 25 million, 30 million, 35 million, or approaching 40 million, I guess, like depending on who you talk to. So a lot of people are going to own the next gen consoles by the time GTA comes out. So how much impact will it have at that point? Like, they could have definitely have used it this year when it was supposed to come out, and you know, but another year, and plus, like, what are the prices of the consoles going to be next year? You know, is Xbox going to have to raise the price $50? Is PlayStation going to have to raise prices too because of the RAM situation or the tariff situation? So to make it even harder. I don't know. I mean, those are all things that, you know, I guess you could say are possibilities. Because I'm trying to think, like, how long normally, like, because Grand Theft Auto, what year did Grand Theft Auto 4 come out? Was it 2000? Was that 2008? Was it, Jez? Grand Theft Auto was 2008.
Don't ask me that.
Because, you know, Grand Theft Auto 5 was 2013. It's just a part of me that wonders, is like, is Grand Theft Auto just coming too late? But that is probably perfect for them.
Remember these fucking dates?
I'm trying to remember GTA. I don't know if it was. Let me put it in Google really quick. Part of me is thinking it was like April 2008.
You're not asking Copilot, bro?
No, I don't ask AI anything. GTA 4 release date.
But Google's AI now.
Yeah.
Paper, bro.
Grand Theft Auto 4 is April 29th, 2008. So really,
how do you remember that? That's kind of weird, actually. How do you know that?
Well, because I knew it was early in the generation, and I didn't think it was the year after the PlayStation came out, so I figured it wasn't 2007, the PS3, you know, and I didn't think it was 2009 because I think Red Dead Redemption was 2010. So I was like, okay, well then that probably narrows it down to 2008, and then I remembered it came out in April. So that's kind of was like my line of thinking regarding that. So that came out, you know, 2.5 years after the 360 release, but then like a year and a half after the PlayStation released. So a lot of people were obviously loving Grand Theft Auto, and then 5 came out, so that's September of 2013. So 5 years after that.
Cam Manatong in chat says, "You're an intellectual, Rand."
I'm an intellectual.
You're an intellectual, yeah. You remember dates and shit.
I try my best.
You're not an artisan though.
But I think about it from like Rockstar's perspective of like, how are we making the most money? So we're gonna sell this on Xbox and PlayStation, and it's only on console. Right in 2026, we know there's new consoles coming. So then, and the wait is not so like we know Xbox might be putting out a new console the following year, and PlayStation might as well. So we're gonna release this base version that probably is not gonna, you know, it'll have limitations, so to speak. Then a year later or 6 months later, we'll sell the PC version, and then everybody is going to buy it on PC again because it's going to be the best version. We'll probably release the Switch 2 version at some point, which will probably sell really well. And then there'll be next generation, and we can essentially sell the game again on next generation. So like they're maximized for their revenue in that regard, right? If they want it, like for selling the copies and whatnot. And people will buy it because it's Grand Theft Auto. But I just sort of wonder how many new people will be entering this generation of consoles next year when it's already been 6 years and the consoles are way more expensive and potentially getting more expensive. I don't know if the impact will be as much as they think it will.
Maybe some of the budget cuts we're seeing are reflective of the fact that they do know that it's not going to do that great. You know, I think you know, there's some of the companies are approaching the whole issue of cost in different ways. Like we've seen Sony and Microsoft have moved some of their production to Vietnam, for example. And well, Sony did it ages ago, but Microsoft now has also done that too. And we've seen, I think it was Stephen Totillo put out a report that was just like, Vietnam now has 70% of the console manufacturing market, so they've They've completely supplanted China because of the tariffs, right? So that's caused some disruption. So like just as they've got like all those ducks in a row. And by the way, Vietnam still has tariffs, so it's not as if that's a fix. It's just sort of like a band-aid, right? It's a band-aid solution. But now they've got that shit sorted out, we're now seeing these huge RAM shortages. And I saw a headline that was like, Samsung won't even sell RAM to Samsung because to like the different divisions because there's just no supply because the amount of the sheer amount of demand for AI is just rapidly outpacing supply, and manufacturing some of these chips and stuff like that is a really complicated process that only like a few handful of companies can do. It's kind of messed up that the entire global economy is based on this shit. But they are starting gradually to wake up to it, but the solutions aren't going to come in any kind of cadence which is going to help PC builders or gamers, or you're even going to see like laptops, tablets, or TVs. Like TVs have RAM in them now. It's not like your cathode ray tube back in the day. And a Samsung smart fridge. That's probably going to go up in price, bro.
Mm.
So you won't be able to get your new model of Samsung smart fridge because that's going to be an extra $1 billion. And it's not just RAM either. We started seeing SD cards go up in price. All kinds of computer components that could be AI adjacent in some large or small way. All of it's going up in price, and it's only going to get worse. I think was it Micron? I think Micron warned that the supply issues will continue throughout 2026. So, but then they will hit more bottlenecks. The next bottleneck will be electricity. So, like they need exponentially more compute to sort of achieve some of their goals with this stuff. They need exponentially more compute, and because of that, everything that we enjoy is going to suffer. So they can, I don't know, design robots that can replace your job. Dude, it's such a strange world we live in right now. It's like it feels like we're racing to this technology, knowing full well the destruction it's going to have over the economy, people's jobs, all this shit. And there's no plan for it. It's so weird. But they bill it, Rand, as a issue of national security. It's like if America isn't first to the super AI, then China will be first to super AI, and then things will get really bad for America or the West in general. That's kind of like how they're positioning it. That it's all about national security. Is it really about national security, or is it just a giant Ponzi scheme? I suppose time will tell. And there is a. Do you know what poly market is, Rand?
The what? Poly market? No, what is
No,
it?
A poly market, Rand, is it's a betting platform where you can kind of bet on anything. And one of the things you can bet on is whether or not Sam Altman will end up in prison.
Mm-hmm.
Because it'll turn out that all this stuff is a load of bullshit, and then so the governments, investors, they'll all want a fall guy, and it'll probably be Sam Altman in that universe. But I don't know. I think things will probably get worse for costs and prices before they get better. I presume. I think one way Microsoft's dealing with it is they're not buying as much stock, which we've seen reflected in the availability of Xbox consoles. Sony's dealing with it by decreasing they're sort of Sony's approaching it from the direction of shrinkflation. So there's versions of the console now that have even less storage, and also like they've reduced the quality on some of the internal components to some degree, or something like that, or not necessarily the quality, but just like the affordability of some of the components as they've and consoles do get revised over the course of the gen. That's normal. I mean, do you remember what the PS2? Do you remember what the PS2 looked like towards the end of that gen?
Yeah, I remember.
How small it got.
Yep.
The last PS2. The last PS2 is crazy. And I think a lot of our generation, like we think about like the old generations and how they were, and how things just got better as the generation went on. Things got better. Things got cheaper. They got smaller. We went from like the PS2, the original PS2 model, which was like this gigantic, CD player almost like a VCR. It looked a bit. I mean, it was obviously smaller than a VCR, but it was like it was this sort of like square and oblong industrial kind of thing, cuboid, and then it evolved to this like thing you could almost fit in your pocket. It was like a
I
portable
mean,
CD player. It was
what
crazy.
about the difference of the OG Xbox One, the VCR looking mofo, to the Series S, or not Series S, the One S, or even the One X?
Yeah,
How much smaller they were in comparison?
things used to get better over time, and it's just the whole universe has flipped on its head, and now it feels like everything's going backwards. Everything's getting worse over time, no matter what it is. The only thing that's getting better is the billionaire's pocketbook.
Mm-hmm.
And Elon Musk's on track to be a trillionaire now.
Mm.
We literally we live in a world with trillionaires soon, and it's just all crazy. Now, some of the things they talk about with AI is like, oh, it's gonna cure cancer, it's gonna optimize everything, and will cure world hunger, and we'll have super efficient traffic networks and all this kind of stuff. All the promises, none of them are materialized yet. All that we've seen is just the degradation of everything, literally everything. So obviously, when you look at like what's happening to Xbox and PlayStation, Nintendo, in the grand scheme of things, it's like it starts to feel a little, it almost starts to feel small, you know. But we are an Xbox podcast, not an existential dread podcast. Although we sometimes talk about existential dread, but it is all about AI affecting all this shit, and it's so annoying.
I can't wait for the next Xbox to be called Xbox 360 Copilot.
Oh my god. Like gaming Copilot is like the Xbox product that they're sort of using to keep Satya Nadella happy, and it is terrible, bro. It is absolutely atrocious. Um, and I'm just like, I've tried to use it, and if you use it for like really simple things on games that have a lot of information, like Valheim, for example, I used it like on Valheim. I was like, where can I find iron? What biome has iron, and it'll spit out an answer that it's stolen from some website, right? Um, if you ask it for any information on a new game, it'll just lie. It won't even like say, "Oh, sorry, I don't know this," because it's programmed for sycophancy. So it will just lie and try and like it's not programmed to not have the answer, which is really weird. Um, but apparently that's a flaw in the whole, you know, technology stack of large language models. Apparently, but right now, it leaves a lot to be desired, put it that way. And we're all paying the price of this shit. Couldn't even get Spotify Xbox Wrapped this year, bro.
Hmm.
But Satya Nadella's pay packet is going to hit $100 million next year, probably.
Yeah. We got a new member to the channel, Adidas20. Thank you, and enjoy the emotes. Nazir says, "Welcome back, Jez. Dev Direct predictions." So that's the other thing that happened while you were gone. Was they announced the Dev Direct 30 minutes before the show in an
Yeah.
article with Variety. Matt Booty, Mr. Booty himself, and he talked about how Playground will be featured. Now, of course, everybody runs with the idea that means both Forza Horizon and Fable will be there, even though neither Forza nor Fable were mentioned. But it's like, hey, Playground's going to be there, so people are hoping that both will be shown off. And then, he talked about how they got so many games and can't fit them all into one direct and stuff. And what do you think about that? About having this interview come out right before the award show, announcing the Dev Direct, and then talking a bit about that and stuff? Was it kind of just like, we know people are going to be, hey, we're not going to be at the Game Awards show because we got our own stuff coming. What do you think about the Dev Direct and their thing of announcing it beforehand?
I mean, I don't know. Some people we were joking earlier about that article where it's like, oh, Microsoft shareholders are upset that Xbox wasn't at the Dev Direct.
Yeah.
I guarantee Microsoft shareholders do not care about that shit, but it does feel like Microsoft wanted to, I don't know, assuage concerns that Xbox didn't have anything coming, I guess. because they're probably preempted that people were going to have questions about their lack of attendance. But Dev Direct's been the thing now for a couple of years, and I doubt anyone.
This would be its fourth one.
Fourth one, Jesus.
So.
Well, it's like everyone who's a core Xbox fan knew the Dev Direct was coming, and I don't think any of the normies were paying attention to what Matt Booty had to say. So I suppose what's more interesting is what do we think is going to be there, the Dev Direct? Because Dev Direct is, what was the date for it, Rand?
They didn't give a date, but I mean it's always January sometime. I would say later January. Probably. I don't remember the date for last year's, but probably the second half of January, I would guess. Maybe on a Wednesday or Thursday, depending on the date. I mean, with Playground being there, I mean, that opens up the door of both Forza and Fable being there, or at least one being Forza, because I think that's coming out early next year, like in May. But then again, if you are doing stuff if you are over at Playground filming things for a Dev Direct, I don't know why you wouldn't also showcase Fable, unless you don't think Fable's coming next year. Or even if you do think there's a chance it might not make next year, I don't see why you just still shouldn't, have it there, even if it does slip to 2027, right?
I think Fable not being there would raise a lot of eyebrows, so I'm going to guess that there'll be something for Fable and something for Forza there from Playground.
Yeah, I mean, clearly Forza's for sure. But that's my line of thinking. I think Forza and Fable will be there. And then it's a matter of maybe there's something you don't know about, some third-party deal thing that they have. I mean, because there was Trials of Mana or Vision of Mana one year.
Yeah, they've liked to showcase some of their partners there now.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised if
this year they had Ninja Gaiden Witch 4, which nobody knew about until like that thing. So it was like, okay, cool.
That is true.
I guess it really depends. Like, do you run Halo again, even though you had a kind of a bigger blowout on October? Do you showcase Gears? I mean, because they said in the article on the Newswire where they were like talking to the Coalition, they said Gears EDA is their most ambitious game ever. But when I always hear those things, that always it's like every game from every developer's next game is always their most ambitious and big game ever, right? It's just kind of like even the Larian devs are like, Divinity, this game's our most ambitious and biggest game ever. It's like that's always the talking points for sequels. It's like bigger than the last one. I don't know. I mean, I think why not start the year off with some Gear? I'd much rather see Gears than Halo, personally. But I mean, I could see both being there. I guess it depends on how many games you want to show. I do know a lot of people are hoping for Clockwork Revolution. In fact, a lot of people are saying like that's a lock. And I don't know.
I'm hoping for State of Decay instead of that.
I mean, I know you're hoping for State of Decay, but I don't know. I guess maybe I'm not as sold on the idea of Clockwork Revolution coming next year.
Here's what I think. I think next year is all about, based on what I heard about some of the reasons why there was not a Wrapped, next year is basically going to be a huge celebration of the Xbox legacy, right? For better or worse. And that means like what they describe as the Four Horsemen, which is Fable, Gears, Forza, Halo. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do get representation for all four of those in keeping with the sort of the legacy of Xbox kind of thing. Now Xbox, like, they're known to have dozens and dozens of games in development. Like, could they? If I was Microsoft, I would like. They've got to be cognizant of the fact that everyone's pretty down on Xbox right now, And one way you can be like you can cut through some of that stuff is to, actually deliver something nostalgic and celebratory and things like that. Perfect Dark was meant to be that, right? So I think people are going to be pretty skeptical, even if they do offer some kind of reprieve like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's something completely unexpected there, like Ninja Gaiden was, and some of that other stuff. I think it would be awesome if they did do something unexpected like that. And I think it would go a long way to, put into bed some of the fears that Xbox sort of doesn't have that heart in it anymore, kind of thing. I don't know, but maybe I'm off base. Maybe it's too ambitious to expect something like that. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think we'll see something completely new there? Do you think we'll
I mean,
see
it's certainly possible. Like,
third party there?
what better year? And I'm gonna throw this out there as a bone to my bros out here. But if you're really celebrating the legacy of Xbox, why not throw the Banjo Bros a bone? You know,
A banjo bone.
A banjo bone, so to speak.
A banjo bone.
What a better time to announce a banjo game, right?
Banjo bone.
I mean, it's probably too early for a dev direct because I doubt that game would be ready now. But if there was ever a time to announce a fan driven project like that, it would definitely be 2026 at the showcase or whatever, being like, we have a banjo game in development, it's coming, we've heard you, and a lot of people would be excited for that. It's 2020. You know what I'm not saying like if they don't announce it this year, it's never happening, but I sort of feel like if you were ever going to like announce a game early to celebrate the 25th anniversary, it'd be something like Banjo. I don't know.
Well, this is one of the...
How far along is Toys for Bob? Could Spyro 4 show up at the Dev Direct?
I think that could be a good one, but again, it's like how far along is it and stuff like that. And as we know, like Xbox doesn't really do the crunch thing these days.
You speaking of the crunch, I was just thinking of Naughty Dog's back on crunch. I don't know if you saw that whole thing.
Oh yeah.
After they kind of said they weren't doing crunch no more, and they had like Neil Druckmann. I think it was in the Last of Us 2 like making of video where they talked about eliminating crunch at the studio. And actually now they have to crunch again, and it's just like it's weird because everybody seems to have a really vacillating opinion on this. So like you're on one side of the argument or you're on the other, where people are like, some people don't care. Like I've always said, like a lot of people do not care how the sausage is made. They just want the sausage. Like they don't care that you have to work overtime because they have to work overtime in their own lives and nobody's fighting for them. If someone's got to work overtimes at their shift at McDonald's or their shift at the gas station or their 9 to 5 at a accounting firm, that's just what you have to do to make ends meet. Nobody's like putting up vigils and getting on social media and bitching about that, right? So there's a lot of people that look like, oh, these devs have to work extra time. Well, fuck them. Who cares? Because I have to work extra time and nobody cares about me. So fuck those guys, right? And then there are people be like, oh, this is awful. Nobody should have to do that, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, yeah, I get that. I mean, nobody should have. I guess the argument's like you shouldn't. Isn't the problem more so that like it's mandated? So, and if you can't do it, then like there's a good chance you won't have a job anymore. So you sort of feel like you have to do it. And then, because like, the articles talked about how we have to, get babysitters or people to look after our pets or whatever. Now we're working all this extra time. And there's like this big, huge thing between the people who are firmly against it and like feel sorry for the developers and the people who just don't care because that's just working, And
yeah, I mean,
the thing was it's because they really championed like getting rid of crunch. Like we're done with crunch because they had a crunch pretty bad for Part 2, Last of Us, and Naughty Dog's always been a crunch studio where like shit hits the fan and you got to be there, sleeping under your desk type shit. And then like they were like, oh, we're really proud we got rid of crunch, and like their first game, after canceling Last of Us Online, they're right back to crunching, and not even right back to crunching to get the game out. They got apparently crunch to get a demo out to PlayStation to get the development back on track, which means like, are they going to have to also crunch to hit release? Because apparently Jason Schreier reported targeting like a mid 2027 release, which kind of reads like a fall 2027 release or maybe even a 2028 release at that point. But it's like if you're mandatory crunching for a demo, just for a demo, like are you also then gonna have to crunch like all of next year to make sure you hit 2027? It's just one of those stories that it's like, okay. Mostly it's because, you know, they were proud of getting rid of crunch, and here you are back. Does that speak to mismanagement? Because I've always seen people talk about how crunch is a sign of mismanagement and poor planning by studio heads and stuff. So does that mean Naughty Dog is a poorly run studio? If they have to resort to this after, you know, celebrating they got rid of it? I mean, because
or Sony, like, you know, put new targets and goals on them, because you know one of Sony's corporate things, like Microsoft, is like margins, margins, margins. You know, we had that.
Gotta make money.
Yeah, we had that. Yeah, we had that story over the summer that Amy Hood, Satya Nadella want Xbox to hit 30% margin, which is unheard of for, you know, console gaming or core gaming, maybe more of a mobile gaming kind of thing. Even then, like 30% is pretty aggressive. I would think
Very aggressive.
Very aggressive. Microsoft, like, for Microsoft's part, they denied it. They said we set ambitious goals, but they're not necessarily do or die kind of thing. And Microsoft, like, is pretty famous for not being a mandatory crunch studio. I think people can work extra if they want to. You know, I was looking up some of the legalities about overtime in the UK, because I know the UK has a lot of different laws about employment than America does. In fact, America has a lot of different employment laws than most of the free world, actually, for that matter. But in the UK, it's like you can be asked to do mandatory overtime as long as it's in your contract. You know, like you've agreed to it, right? Originally. I don't know how it works in America, but it does seem to be something that was kind of like a staple thing in the industry, where it was like, you know, we want to hit this deadline now. Everyone's got to work really hard, balls to the wall, and just sort of grind it out and whatever, for better or worse. I'm kind of like you, where it's like they sort of, you can't celebrate getting rid of crunch and having this anti-crunch culture because of the original backlash, and then, you know, bring it back. And it just kind of shows, like, obviously I imagine Neil Druckmann didn't want that, but it kind of speaks to the rapidly changing landscape that we find video gaming in right now. You know, and I know, like, there's a lot of fanboy stuff where it's like, oh, it's Xbox is doomed and everyone else is fine, but it's clearly, evidently not the case. You know, there's something generational is going on right now. There's a generational issue where younger generations aren't coming in as fast as they used to be. There's other forms of entertainment that are sort of taking hold over those younger generations. Like, even Nintendo is down in its run up to the holiday season. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? And when, you know, you've got Sean Layden, Satya Nadella, and everyone out here, like, pointing the finger at TikTok, it's kind of like, well, you know, no shit. And then, so how do you fix that, Rand? How do you maintain those margins in a universe where your user base is stagnant at best?
I don't know.
You've got to get more productivity out of your staff and more money out of your existing user base.
Sure, you got to charge more.
Obviously, charge more, put the prices up, microtransactions, live service, and then if you're a game developer, I guess that also means more productivity per head, you know. And people often look at Valve as a shining example of one of the most productive companies in the world, where it's like the amount of revenue that Valve brings in, considering the size of the company, I think it's like one of the biggest, most productive companies per employee in the world. Whereas, like, a company like Microsoft literally employs tens of thousands of people. You know, so one way you can boost in a universe where you don't have more people and you want to maintain profits, get more profitability per head out of your existing employees. You know, so I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing Microsoft do some of this shit as well. Well, actually, no, because Microsoft takes a different approach. Rather than deal with the headlines about crunch, Microsoft just shuts down the whole fucking studio. You know, that's Microsoft's kind of approach to it, right? if Microsoft like thinks, well, we can't get more productivity out of this team, we can't hit profitability out of this team, shut down the whole studio, you know. Now, I don't know if Naughty Dog's in a situation where it's like, oh shit, this is make or break. We need to work really hard or shit's going to happen. But you have to sort of imagine, you have to look at it this way around. What's Naughty Dog's revenue look like in a universe where they don't have do they have any games that have got microtransactions in them or ongoing live service? I don't think they do.
Right? So. No. I mean, they did release, you know, they had The Last of Us Part 1 remake, Last of Us Part 2 remake this generation. So I don't know how well those have sold, but I mean,
yeah, but in a universe where you kind of like you need where they're based, California,
I think so.
I think
probably a very expensive studio to own and maintain. But I mean, they've always been the premier PlayStation studio.
Yeah, so in a universe where, you know, you've got a studio that doesn't have revenue per head, and this isn't just Naughty Dog. It's like any of the old school core gaming companies that make single player games. Like, this is the issue Bethesda had. That's why it was pivoting to live service, even like back in the Xbox One generation. It's like in a universe where you can't get out the games fast enough, how are you going to pay your employees, right? So I don't know. It's things are tough right now. But are they apocalyptic? You know, I've seen YouTubers put out sensational headlines like, "Oh God, video game industry going to crash, it's going to explode," all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, well, video game industry is actually projected to grow next year, and while console gaming itself is like flat.
I mean, I would hope so. It's got Grand Theft Auto coming out next year, so I mean,
yeah, sure. But like,
there's also a lot of games coming out next year. A lot of cool looking stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of games coming out next year. A lot of good stuff coming out next year.
I mean, bro, we already know the next big console is that next unit thingamabob, the Connect thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. So there's that shit going on, and so there's plenty of reasons to be optimistic, especially if you're a core gamer and all that kind of stuff. But you know, the sensational headlines won't stop, and also I suppose the concern from, because they have to be a responsible business, and they have to plan in advance for like changes in circumstances, whether it's, you know, economic or you know, whether they think, oh, this game's not going to ship on time, do we have a plan for this? They have to plan for some of that stuff. So I suppose like crunch is one lever they can pull to try and bring things back in a bit, you know. It's by no means on the same level as a game dev studio, but like on Black Friday, we pretty much have mandatory overtime at Windows Central, you know. And it's not mandatory, but it sort of is mandatory, you know. Because it's like, it's the 1 week in the year we can make some serious money and, you know, helping people find the deals they want and shit like that. Sometimes it's just like, this is kind of what you do sometimes when you work at a job. Like, every job I've been in has had like peak periods where you do overtime, and I don't know if that's, you know, politically correct or whatever, but it's you know, I've always worked in, before this job, I was like in those kind of working class jobs you were describing, where it was like, you know, barely above minimum wage, occasionally below minimum wage, and overtime was just a thing that people did, you know. For whatever reason. It kind of sucks, but that's also just the economic system we live in. And I suppose when times are tough, it's like, what do? Do you crunch or do you shut down a studio? I'm not saying that's the situation, but it could be the situation, theoretically, in some situations, right? I don't know.
Could be. We have a super chat here from OMG Turtle says, "Happy both of you. Have a great Christmas and a chill break. Here's to a great New Year's and Scalebound reveal to save the console sales." Let's hope so. And Silver says, "Hi. One question: is Fable ready for the Dev Direct?" I mean, both me and Jess think it's going to be there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be there. I don't know for sure, but I think I would bet money that it is.
Yeah, maybe we'll find out more in a couple weeks, but I just feel like if you're going out the playground to film stuff, you know, Fable and Forza. I mean, maybe there's probably a better chance Halo's not there, but like Fable, Forza, Gears, if you do those three, and then plus maybe a surprise third-party game, and then maybe a surprise first-party game, that's probably a good start off to a good year for them, right?
One of the things that I wonder though about the Dev Direct, will it be a Japanese dev? Because it does seem almost thematic at the moment that they showcase a third-party Japanese dev, and it really feels like Microsoft and Square Enix.
Well, that was I gonna say, because they put out that tweet, right? Then like there was a tweet, basically telling everybody, like he basically said, yeah, all the Final Fantasy VII remake games are coming to Xbox. There was like a picture of him with Sarah Bond, the Square Enix guy. And I had the same thought process as you of like, what if... Because they have highlighted Square before at the Dev Direct with Visions of Mana. But then I'm thinking like, okay, well, if they wanted to highlight Square again, we just saw Final Fantasy 16 drop as a surprise drop at the last Xbox showcase. We know that Final Fantasy 7 Remake is coming on January 22nd on Xbox and Switch 2. And when I look at like the calendar for next year, 22nd is like it's actually the 1, 2, 3, 4th Wednesday of that month. That could literally be the date of the Direct, possibly like the 22nd. But then I'm thinking to myself, but would you waste a Dev Direct spot highlighting Final Fantasy VII Remake, though? A game that is 4.5 years old at the time of that release. Is that something you really want to spend on it? I did give it a line of thinking, because I saw like all the tweets and stuff and what have you, and I'm like, are they signaling like potentially that, I just think personally I wouldn't do it, Jez. Personally, I would not highlight a 5-year-old game at your show.
What about a glimpse of Final Fantasy 17?
I also think that's way too early at this point. I mean, it would be cool because the Dev Direct is about. If it was a showcase, sure, but the Dev Direct is about like gameplay and understanding what the devs are going for. That's why they only have 4 or 5 games, and it's like 45 minutes long, because you do get a good look at the game itself. And we certainly ain't getting no look at Final Fantasy 17 at this point in time.
Well, it does feel like Microsoft really wants to help Final Fantasy 17 on Xbox, because they're probably cognizant of the fact that it's a really old game, and
sure,
probably a lot of people have already purchased it on other platforms. So they want to do what they can to help it, because Square Enix invested the time to bring it, which I think we asked for it a lot. And whatever weird shit happened with the previous CEO, because my interview with Hamaguchi, he was kind of implying that it was an issue with the previous CEO, which is also coincidentally what I heard. But whatever. Whatever issues with Square Enix and Xbox, that's in the past now. And Microsoft's been like really wanting to not squander that repaired relationship, or whatever was going on there. So like, I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft did want to give Final Fantasy a shout out at the Dev Direct, just to remind people that it's coming. But would you be okay with that if they did offer a glimpse of Final Fantasy 17 as part of that? Even if it was just literally the title and maybe a glimpse.
As long as it didn't take up a slot for another game. Like if you because normally I think there's like, I think the first one there was 4 games, and the other 2 there were 5. So if you're including Final Fantasy as one of those games, then it better not take up a slot of any. So like this one have to be 6 games, as like Final Fantasy 7 Remake is like a special, but you still get everything else you normally would. It's just like, oh, and we have Final Fantasy, and maybe you can talk about it, and you could be like, it's available here, and maybe you could even announce Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, coming fall 2026 or whatever. But I'd be fine as long as it didn't take up something else. Personally.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so what else? What else has been going on? Anything else? Let's see here. Starfield. Yeah, let's talk about Starfield. Because
Yeah, so
this kind of just came out of nowhere, really. All of a sudden,
yeah,
people
this
were
was a
talking
weird
about
one.
Starfield,
This was a weird one.
and it was like, okay, cool. Because yeah, we're all expecting Starfield to come to a new platform next year. You know, I think if you even go back and listen to our podcast, like I remember saying like I had heard. I'm not going to really say what I heard, but I said like there was a good chance that Starfield wouldn't hit this year because they kind of wanted to like really put out a significant update that would take more time. So don't be surprised if like Starfield, the DLC and all that stuff comes next year, right?
Yeah.
Because I know there's that whole like, oh, Starfield 2.0, you know, reminiscence of the Cyberpunk 2.0 thing, and uh, you know, like a big serious update that really changes the game or changes people's perceptions of the game.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, people were talking about it, and then they were like, there was some event that happened, and people were like, whoa, there's like a hidden event. And then, you know, I got a couple people DMing me being like, I heard this, but it was never anything like firsthand of like, I talked to somebody who was there. It was always like, I talked to somebody who talked to somebody who was there type stuff. And it was like secondhand information. So I'm like, okay, well, something happened, but it's like, sometimes you just don't trust that info.
You don't know what it is, right?
And then you were looking into it. And then I saw Luke Stevens tweeting about it. And even he was kind of, at the time, being like, I don't know if this happened. I haven't really heard anything. And then he was like, actually, I've talked to people who were there and who put on the show. So it sounds like something was there. And then Juicehead tweeted that like he was at the show, and apparently it happened last month, but it was like a behind the scenes thing of like new things, new features that would be coming with like the game in the future and stuff like that. So apparently there was an event, and I use like event like in quotes, that did happen sometime in November about the future of Starfield. And I think you did some digging. So what did you find? Because you wrote an article about it.
Yeah, so I was a bit like you, and I kind of put in my article, take this stuff with a pinch of salt, because like you, couldn't get a first-hand source on it, right? I did speak to Juicehead. He's a cool guy. I've met him before. I think I met him at an event, actually. I think I might have met him at a Microsoft event. But he's a cool dude. He's a big sort of TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and Instagram creator and YouTube creator. So definitely check him out. He follows all the Bethesda stuff. Definitely check him out. But he was like, it was kind of like part of a Fallout event, I think. That's the kind of impression that I got. And they gave like some of the sort of influencery kind of people, because like Fallout has an influencer program where they not just for the games but also for the merch and the TV show and all kinds of stuff, right? They have like a different influencer program. From what I could gather, this wasn't actually a press event where there was press present. However, though it does seem like there was another event where press were present, which wasn't the event that guy was talking about, potentially, where some other stuff was revealed. And I don't know if it was the same event or not, or there's like some kind of crosswise, but it sounds like definitely something had happened. Now, a lot of the rumors about what Starfield 2.0 quote unquote is going to look like has already been sort of out there with data mining and things like that, because with Starfield being like a heavily moddable game, and there's a lot of people modding it and stuff like that, people do look at the files a lot and try to read the tea leaves about what kind of updates are coming or what can we can expect from the future of the game. And one thing, like, I heard that one of the big things they're doing with Starfield is this sort of idea of, you know, space flight 2.0, which is like improving the space systems, improving the way space handles, improving like the loading screens, or, you know, removing them to some extent. I don't think it's going to be a completely sort of streaming kind of game. I just don't think the engine supports that right now. But it does sound like a lot of technical work is going into whatever this looks like, specifically with regards to making some of those aspects of the game feel a little bit more seamless. Now I don't know what extent that goes to. You know, I don't know if some of the things that I was really curious about were, selfishly pertain to the issues I had with the game, which was the POIs and the exploration wasn't good enough, And I think Tim Lamb last month or in September-ish, around then, he did an interview on Bethesda's channel where they were kind of teasing the future of the game. And do you remember there was that Terra Armada or Terran Armada, I think, popped up with cryptic letters,
Yeah.
which are yeah, so a lot of people thought like the DLC was going to be called Starborn, which is what they trademarked Starborn a while ago. So like, okay, so the DLC is going to be called Starborn, but now like from this official teaser, sounds like it's going to be called Terra Armada, something along those lines, or Terran Armada. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but he said that there's going to be improvements to base systems, and then a variety of smaller delights. I think was his the terminology that he used. So to me, that sounded like improvements of some of the base systems, maybe addressing some of the feedback, like those POIs, and maybe adding some more features to the game, maybe improving the base building, making it have like more of a point, maybe, and some of that kind of stuff. And one of the other things I did hear about Starfield, Rand, was that um, there's a kind of like there's almost a lamentation about the fact that they're kind of stretched thin right now because it comes back to that, oh my god, $1 trillion company again, kind of thing. But and Todd Howard said this in his interviews about Fallout TV show, was that the bulk of their investment right now is going towards Fallout, and it probably should, right? Because of the way the TV show blew up. It's a way to not only grow Fallout, but I think inspire normies potentially to try out gaming for the first time, maybe in some cases. So I think there's like a huge opportunity there, and maybe the opportunity with Starfield it's just not as big as maybe it would have been if the game had landed better from the get-go, So I think like personally I think this might be, and I don't know this for sure, this is just my opinion. This might be like the send off for Starfield. I don't know if like I don't know if they think of it as Starfield 2.0. I kind of get the impression that they don't want it to be billed as this huge thing that's going to completely revamp the whole ass game. I do get that impression. So I would say keep your expectations in check for it if you are someone who's disappointed with Starfield. But I think if you are someone who liked what Starfield represented and just wanted more but better, I think that it'll probably lead to some very happy people. It does seem like some people know more than me, like Paris, Lily, and Jean Park were both teasing stuff, so maybe they were at this secret press event. I don't know. I don't know if Paris Lily's in the chat. Shout out to him. But I definitely wasn't at the event, and I have no idea exactly what's coming for Starfield, but I'm pretty optimistic, man. Personally.
Yeah.
What do you think about this whole narrative that there needs to be a Starfield 2.0? Because I put that in my title, right? Partially for SEO reasons, because it's a search term. But like some people are like annoyed, like, oh my god, Starfield doesn't need a 2.0 moment. It wasn't Starfield, and all this. What do you think about that whole narrative with regards to that?
Well, I think that the developers, like, they're the people who like the game, like myself. I really liked Starfield. And could it have been better? Absolutely. Absolutely. There was things that I didn't like about the game that I wish weren't out there. Now, part of it is like I sort of feel like they felt Starfield didn't have the tail that like Bethesda games typically have, whether it's on PC or Xbox, that like once people sort of finished the game, they were done with it. And so they wanted to make it more meaningful updates to draw people back in, to keep people playing for longer. And also, I think the addition of, hey, we're going to release this on other platforms like PlayStation and Nintendo Switch 2, which I think you reported in your article, right? That it'll be going to that, which makes sense. If it can run it, then sure enough.
Shout out to I got to give a shout out to John Sicker Mechanico at Xbox Era, because he's the first one to report that just a little bit too early, maybe.
I mean, yeah, 3 years too early, I guess.
3 years too early.
Or 2 years, or whatever it would be. But yeah, the thing, so it's like if you're also then bringing it to other platforms, you also have to take into account how Starfield was perceived around the time of a launch and how it's perceived now. And it really is perceived as a game that missed the mark. And I'm not talking about my perspective because I really enjoyed the game, but I'm talking about like the general perception of the game in like the gaming landscapes is that the game was good, but it wasn't great. In fact, it did some things that were like, it wasn't, you didn't really miss much, I guess. So if you're bringing it to other platforms, there's a chance that, hey, Starfield's on PS5, and people just collectively shrug their shoulders and they're like, it's been 2 years. We didn't really miss much. It wasn't really highly rated, Unlike like, hey, Forza Horizon 5, which is like the biggest racing game out there, and Microsoft is still, there's still a little bit of novelty of Xbox games on PlayStation. Oh my God, I have to buy this and play this because this is history in the making, right? But like Forza was always incredible. I mean, that's one of the games that people talk about. Like, oh my God, this is a must play. It's one of the greatest racing games ever. So when it came to PlayStation, it was like, and PlayStation, is home to a lot of really high profile, high selling racers like Gran Turismo and stuff. So it's like, yeah, it's going to do well there. But then you think about like how Starfield did and like how Starfield's been perceived since launch and it hasn't been great. You sort of wonder like, are we porting this to these other platforms and we're just not going to get any traction? Maybe due to like competition at the time in the space. If there might be other games out there that are doing what we did, potentially better or as good as we did, or just like, hey, there's too many games out and there's just not enough to pay full price for a product that's 2 years old at this time. So like going back to not necessarily the drawing board, but making a meaningful update and putting in things and doing things that maybe people have requested so that when you do release on another platform, you can start really building up the hype again of like, no, this is like this is like what we want a Starfield to be, and you can sort of build up anticipation and build up hype alongside like a new DLC release, alongside the updates. You just like look, and I know like maybe people are over exaggerating like the 2.0 thing, but look at like Cyberpunk itself. Now you'll argue that Cyberpunk was always great. It just really depended on where you played the game. Like there was everything underlying the game was like fantastic, but it clearly had some issues running on last generation and some other things. But they planned that comeback.
For me, it was just the exploration, man. The exploration was nowhere near what I wanted from that game.
They must have planned that comeback to hit, because it wasn't just the 2.0 update launching really soon. Or I forget it. Was it like the 2.0 update that came? Was it like a month or a couple months before the actual expansion? Was it the same day as the expansion? But they also had the anime, which then they had been putting out a lot of updates, and then it was like, here's the Cyberpunk Edge Runners thing, and then like, oh, here's the expansion, and then plus like, oh, here's the whole overhaul of the game. Like they really went all in on trying to change people's perceptions of the game with that update. And I could see like Bethesda or anybody who's had a rough launch, and I'm not saying like Starfield's had a rough launch, but I do think sentiment surrounding Starfield since then haven't been exactly what Bethesda or Xbox wanted. So the only way to do that is kind of a coordinated marketing effort where you are providing like a big changes to the game in some manner with like new expansions. So like next year you could be like, we got Starfield coming, we got all these big changes, the things that fans want. There's new content through the DLC. We're releasing on new platforms like Nintendo Switch and PlayStation. And then maybe you can sort of break through and get people on those other platforms that haven't played it excited. You know what I mean? So because I guess there's, you want to talk about predictions for Dev Direct. What if one of the games is Starfield? What if they highlight like a run through of like the Starfield update or like the Starfield DLC? Could that not be a possibility?
Yeah, so like this is another thing I heard. Like Detective Seed said that he was expecting a Starfield update in the second half of the year, or he said later in the year. I think he said. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but if I'm remembering correctly, he said something along the lines of later in the year. But I again take this with a pinch of salt because I'm not super confident about my sourcing on this. But like I heard that this stuff was targeting the spring, and it was actually delayed out of this year because of how busy stuff was, with Keeper and Ninja Gaiden and everything sort of slotting in at that time frame. So they wanted to give it more breathing space, which suggests to me that it was, either finished or pretty close to being finished. So if that's actually true, then that would kind of suggest that it probably could launch nearer, and maybe Dev Direct would be a good place to announce it and talk it through. So yeah, I would expect that to some degree. But the problem is, it's like, will that overlap with Diablo expansion dropping? Because that's going to be a really big one.
Sure.
Does Diablo and Starfield have a significant amount of overlap?
No.
In general, maybe not. But
maybe not.
It does for me. I don't want it to overlap.
But the thing is, I think because there's a chance they have this as a dev direct, and maybe they release the PS5 vanilla version this spring, but then the Switch 2, the 2.0 update, and the DLC is the fall. Or some variation of it, like, hey, like where, the PS5 version comes out first and ahead of that stuff. And I think it'd be best if they just held it all and just did it all at the same time. If that's the case, then like, okay, it's the end of the year. But then you run into the end of the year, Jez, and it's like, well, Grand Theft Auto's sitting there like looming over everything. You look at what also be coming out on PlayStation at the time. They got that console exclusive Phantom Blade Zero, which maybe not a lot of overlap between that Sekiro-ish like type game, but Starfield. But hey, money's money. That's the $70 product, and Starfield's probably, with everything, a complete-ish and $70 product. Wolverine's supposed to be coming out in the fall. I would imagine people would choose Wolverine over Starfield. But then you also are selling your own games on PlayStation, like Halo, whether or not that's not the fall, or Gears. So sometimes you're just like, when's the best time to release something? And if the PS5 version's ready, and it's like, well, there's not really that much competition in the springtime, maybe it's just best for us to get this out now, and then the fall we could launch the Switch 2 version and the update and the DLC, because GTA 6 isn't going to be on Switch 2, and Wolverine's not going to be on Switch 2, and like a lot of those Xbox games like Gears and Halo probably aren't going to be on the Switch 2, right? Like, so you could look at it like that. I think they just have a lot of options available to them depending on when the game's ready. But those are all things you got to think about, right? We know Amy loves her margins, so it's like, what's the there's a part of me that thinks like just selling Starfield as it currently is on PlayStation. I'm just not really sure there's a lot of excitement from people for the game at this stage. But if you could maybe show them like what's to come or whatever, I don't know. Personally, I would hold everything to launch all at the same time. But that's just me, and what do I know?
I mean, even if the game doesn't do spectacularly well on PlayStation, if it's true that there is a Switch version, I think it could over-index on Switch because, like, there's not a huge amount of stuff to play on the Switch 2, and this is the kind of game that I think like people would appreciate coming to Switch 2, like have something to play on there.
It'd be a pretty unique game right? For the platform, right? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and there'll be nothing. I mean, is No Man's Sky on the Switch? I suppose it is, right? I don't know if I suppose like the older Skyrim games are there from backwards compatibility, but I presume that it wouldn't be coming to Switch 1. It'd be like Switch 2 exclusive. That gives you more value for your Switch, right? But again, I don't know for sure. I'm not super confident on some of the sourcing for this. But it just felt like there's a lot of smoke, and there must be something to it. So maybe we'll find out the truth of the dev direct.
Yeah, maybe it's maybe you get like Fable and Forza and Gears and then Starfield, and then something else. I don't know. I mean, that definitely could be a nice beginning.
Diablo.
Nobody needs to see Diablo, bro. Sorry.
Diablo expansion could be there.
No,
I think.
no, no,
Yeah,
no,
that's a
no,
good
no,
idea.
no, no,
That's a
no,
good
no,
idea.
no, 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 no.
That's a
Diablo.
pretty good idea, man. Put the Diablo expansion there, because then you've got all your bases covered. You've got Activision, Blizzard, who's having their anniversary, and then you've got Bethesda with Starfield having their anniversary, and then you've got like Xbox Game Studios having their anniversary with Halo and all that rest of it.
There's a lot of anniversaries going on, but they said they can't all fit it in the direct, so they're gonna have to leave stuff out. Another way of reading Matt's comments was almost like he was saying they'll have multiple directs, but then they sort of do, because the showcase isn't a direct, so they have a show in January and then the show in June, and maybe partner previews or whatever. But we do have a big super chat here from Manu. Who says, Jez Rand, what's up with Xbox? They skipped the annual Wrapped due to budget, quote, yet at the same time you see them sponsoring college football where they only promote the Xbox Ally. Sadly, they don't give a damn about console players anymore. Yeah, did you see the college football bowl where they had Master Chief? They had a Master Chief.
I did not see that.
Doing the coin toss, and Master Chief presenting the award. And I mean, I didn't watch it. I saw some clips of it on social media, but
no, I didn't see that.
I did not see or hear them only promoting the Xbox Ally. But that is the new toy that Xbox has put out that kind of that lays out like the future of Xbox or whatever. They didn't. I mean, it's not really a surprise that they didn't really talk about the Series X and S because they didn't do any deals for anything, and it's kind of being like they just make as many as like that they can sell. So it's like they make a small amount. And like as far as the wrap thing, I mean, we talked a little bit about that already. It's not the end of the world. It's like whatever, but at the same time, it's also like a joke. It's like like when every other company does it, and you don't do it.
My bank did it. My fucking bank did it.
And you're one of the biggest companies in the world. I don't want to hear about budget cuts for not doing some Wrapped. And maybe they think it's okay because True Achievements does a Wrap for them. So it's like, whatever, if you really want one, go over there and use that website. But yeah, I just I think and we've said this before, the console gamers or the console itself isn't the number one priority anymore, and it hasn't been for a bit. So sometimes it feels like you're getting kicked in the balls because they do things and it's like, oh, they don't care about me anymore. They don't care about me, and I'm a console player. And, why are they only talking about the Xbox Ally and all those sort of things? And I'm a console guy, and I want them to talk about this. And it's like, yeah, it's still important, but they have other things that are more important to them now. So it does feel like they don't care about me anymore. So I get how you feel, man. Like, I understand. It sucks to make feel like you don't, like, I've had people message me, Jez, that they feel like they're getting pushed away from the ecosystem because they don't care about Play Anywhere, or they don't care about the things that Xbox cares about right now, and it feels like Microsoft is just telling them to just be like, hey, go to PC, see you later, go go on Steam or whatever, like it's like they're being broken up with.
If I get,
yeah.
If I get to interview Microsoft execs again, well, it seems like a lot of the interviews are going to like outlets like Variety and shit right now, professional outlets.
Professionals.
That's another thing. They've sort of pulled back on engaging with the community. Like they used to do smaller podcasts, and they used to do, work at the community sites more, and interview with gaming websites. And it feels like now they've been going to corporate media, like the big boys like Business Insider and shit like that, right? It's a very different tone to strike in the modern era. But it's also like, if I do get the opportunity to speak to someone about this shit, I'll put these kind of questions to them because, that's completely valid. It's completely valid to feel that way. And I don't know, just kind of sucky, man. Sucky.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw this new report from Rebs Gaming, but he said that, at least according to him, he says that Halo Studios are preparing and planning on remaking the original trilogy. So not only Halo 1, but Halo 2 and Halo 3.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard that myself, but I also haven't really looked into it. So I could totally see that. It kind of makes sense.
I mean, it makes all
if
the
you're going to
sense
do
in the
one of
world,
them,
doesn't it? I mean, come on.
yeah.
It's like, if you're going to do
If
one...
you're doing, yeah.
It's almost like the same thing with Gears. If you're doing Gears Reloaded, like, you probably should also be planning on doing Gears 2 and Gears 3. And, same thing with Halo. Like, you did all this work for the Unreal Engine stuff. Yeah, and if you're selling Halo 1, I would expect you to also remake Halo 2 and 3. It's almost like the strategy I talked about for so long here. It's the Resident Evil strategy. Remake the old games, but also still release the new games. I really think that's a winning strategy. It's like Tomb Raider's copying it, right now.
No, it is a strategy because, like, the marketing overlaps, right? The marketing spend overlaps. You're marketing one, then you're automatically marketing the other, and vice versa. You're maximizing your margins on your marketing, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, man, I think certainly we could see that.
I just wonder if they stop at 3. Granted, they probably have to see what the sales would be like for all of them, because there's 4, there's 5, there's Infinite, right? And you talk about bringing them to other platforms like Switch and PlayStation 5. Like, that's the one thing I do wonder about. Like, if we're talking about, like, say, the next mainline Halo from Halo Studios 343 or whatever, and does that continue the story of Halo Infinite, or do they sort of branch off and make something new? Is it more of a reboot? Does it include Master Chief? I mean, because clearly they've said as much, that Halo is now also on PlayStation, so that game's going to be there. But for anybody who hasn't played the game on PlayStation, is the story, is it sort of nonsensical in a way? Because if you haven't played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you don't know the story for the campaign, and that always kind of just leads me to be like, well, it'd be like similar to, like, what if they put God of War 3 on Xbox, but you didn't have the reference of God of War 1 and 2? Like, would that work? Would people buy it? Or would they just be like, I don't know what's going on in this game?
I mean, you have to, like, think about how much do people actually really care about the story of stuff, or do they just want to hit things,
True.
And shoot things. Like, Halo especially is like, I've always played it as a mindless kind of co-op game. Halo is a game I played like a normie, I haven't cared about. Oh, what the fuck?
You haven't cared about what?
Hell, I didn't know that. How can? So I'm using the earbuds right now because my headset's broken. And I just tapped them, and then Spotify started to play somewhere in my tech. Yeah, I don't know. Fucking weird. Freaked me out. But anyways.
Yeah, so you play Halo mindlessly, so the story doesn't matter to you. Like, I get that, and I'm sure that would apply to other people as well.
Yeah, would that apply broadly? But at the same time, I kind of think, like, I think the community will be very split on the idea of branching it off into a new trilogy. And it's kind of interesting because they are doing new story beats in Halo Campaign Evolved, right?
Yes, they are doing prequel stuff, 3 levels. And I don't know if you saw, but the new Halo book basically takes place at the end of Infinite, and it basically shows what happens after the game, which is kind of a kick in the balls to anybody that really
hate when companies do that.
Like, to anybody that really cares, because we were supposed to get all this Halo Infinite DLC and expansions or whatever, and we got essentially none of it. So, I mean, I guess it's good for the sense of
Andromeda, and it pissed me off.
I guess it's good in the sense that there is some closure for people that want to work to find it, of, like, knowing, 1, that there is a new Halo book out, 2, that it covers the events after Infinite, and then 3, like to read. so they could go out and buy the book and then read what happens and be like,
Absolutely.
oh, this is what happens. But at the same time, for anybody who's like sitting there and is like, I don't want to read a book, blah, 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 blah. Why aren't I getting a sequel or getting a DLC? Like, I feel like that's lame, and it sort of, puts people off the franchise, And it's just like, hey, here's all this stuff we're setting up, and none of it means anything because we're not following it up. If you want to know what happens, read the book. It's like, it's kind of shitty, if you ask me.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. But it kind of is what it is, right? But that's why I suppose like we have these debates about what could they do? Could they separate it off into a separate sort of entity? I don't think that would be super popular. And if they are releasing books post Infinite, for better or worse, it seem like they want to continue the franchise.
Let's also wonder, like, I hate to be sort of crass when I say this, but Steve Downes not going to be around forever. And I think they are reprising their role in the remake. Or I think maybe I read some about that, right? But like any new,
but
like
Troy Baker, bro.
Because I was just thinking, oh, they'll just use AI. But then it's like, well, will Steve Downes and Jen Taylor like sign over the right to use their voices in AI, or would they get people to copy it? And like, what do you do?
I mean, I don't think AI is there yet where it can replace the expressiveness and the emphases that you really want from a game like Halo. Or, like Master Chief's a man of few words, so when he speaks, it really has to hit. It really has to hit hard. And AI is not really good at that shit. It's good at like I think narration, but like acting, is it really there yet? I don't know, but I don't know. That's a separate discussion entirely. But so are you suggesting that they need to eventually consider a post Master Chief Halo? Essentially, what you're saying.
I mean, I'm surprised they already haven't done. I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm surprised they haven't done with Halo already, like more spin-offs or whatever, so you can continue on with certain things. And I think they tried with Halo 5 with the whole Chief versus Locke stuff. But that didn't go anywhere for whatever reasons, whether it was because people didn't like Locke or not, I don't know. But yeah, like Master Chief's not going to be around forever, whether them wanting to make Master Chief games or even doing a campaign, let alone Steve Downes doing the voice and wanting to continue to do the voice. So it's, where do you go? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I get that.
Is this stuff I think about sometimes,
Late at night.
Yeah, I was just thinking like, oh, what are they going to do here? And there's a part of me that wonders, like, should I pick up that Halo book just to find out what happened at the end of Infinite? And it's like, no, then I'd be basically like a part of the problem then, because then it's like I'm going to give you money to find out this stuff. And I've never read a Halo book before either. And people always tell me like, oh, you should read the Halo book, and it's like, bro, there's like 30 of those things. And they're like, well, you don't have to read all 30, and it's like, but I would have to. It's like, well, you just need to read these. It's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I need to start at the beginning of everything. I need to be there from the beginning. I need to know how people interact with each other, what their character relationships are, the small little moments that really influence how a character responds to adversity or not, and the dialogue between them and the events, the things that character has seen that has forged them into that person. You miss that stuff when you start later on in a series, whether it's a show or whether it's a book. And some people say, well, it's not important to the plot. And it's like, yeah, I understand that, but it's important to the character development to understand how he feels or they feel about certain other characters. Because, yeah, you can read a plot summary and be like, Master Chief went here and did this, and this character did this, and this character did this. But you're missing all the nuance of everything. And the nuance is why
you're not overestimating the writing quality of the books here, maybe?
Sure, maybe I am, but I'm just telling you how I am as like a reader or as a person who likes these things. Is like, I need to know all the small minutia, and you don't get that in plot summaries. And yeah, maybe I am overanalyzing the writing quality of the Halo novels, where Master Chief's interactions with certain characters in previous books don't really reflect his character in the current books, because he doesn't change that much or whatever, because he's a super soldier with no, right? But I'm just saying, for me, because people always say that, like, recently with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, a game that I see and I'm like, I talk to someone like Cog, who's like, you love this game, the story, the acting, the cinematics, like everything. Like, it's like, this is up your alley. And when Cog tells me that, and Cog knows why, I'm like, okay, that really makes me want to play it. But I'm like, but then I got to play the whole first game. It's like, oh no, you don't have to play the whole first game, because it gives you a good recap of it, and it starts right when but like, you don't understand. Like, if I don't play the first game, then I'm not following that character's journey, and I don't know everything about all the interactions he has and how that affects him and his character. That's not something you can get by just watching a 10-minute YouTube video. And I care about that stuff. So it's like, if I want to start that, I have to play the first game. And it's like, well, that's 80 hours to get to the second game. You know, that's kind of how I relate to that stuff. But yeah, I know I'm probably weird and odd when it comes to that, but that's what I look for.
No, I'm the same way. Like, I even do it on replays. Like, I want to recap what I've previously played. If I'm gonna, like, you know, I couldn't just play Dragon Age Inquisition, for example. I'd have to play through all of it. Although that franchise is dead to me now. But yeah, I suppose. I mean, there are some super chats about the Halo stuff. There's an audio book, and said that's pretty good. And you want to read them out?
Oh yeah, we got Chris, who says, Rand, I'm about 70% through the new Halo book, and so far it's like the next 2 days after the end of Infinite, so I wouldn't say there's a massive amount of time missing from the games. Okay. And Alvin says, the new Halo novel, Edge of Dawn, just connects Infinite to the next game. We've always had books that bridge lore for games. First Strike, Grasslands, etc. No spoils, but 100% sets up a sequel. That's cool. But we were supposed to get that in Halo Infinite. Wasn't that the point of naming Infinite? Like, we were supposed to get all this extra content and stuff. We were supposed to get these things. It didn't happen, so it's in the book. And I understand, like, the books always bridge the games or whatever, and you find extra stuff. And maybe as someone who's never really gotten into the books, I always found that as, like, just kind of, like, lame or whatever. But I get it. I get it. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the books, which, yeah, I think it sounds like you guys are.
I mean, bro, to be fair, Microsoft's like a small indie company, so you can't expect them to do things like, small indie company. Can't expect them to do Wrapped. You can't expect them to, finish it.
You know, my refrigerator gave a Wrapped this year. It told me how many times we opened up the door and
stuff. Did it really?
No, I'm kidding. I don't know, but I'm assuming there's a refrigerator out there that had a Wrapped. Wouldn't that be funny?
Oh man, Samsung smart fridge.
Someone's gonna say, like, their toilet gave a rap how many times the bidet was used. You know, how many times somebody sat on the toilet.
This is not really related to anything we're talking about. Oh well, I suppose so. Did you see this news story that a woman was driven to a psychotic episode by her Samsung smart fridge?
No. What happened?
So, an ad popped up on the Samsung smart fridge.
Okay, I actually might have seen this. What did it say? Did it say? It said something like. Go ahead.
It referenced her by name.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It referenced her by name, and then she was like, "Oh God, fucking shit's tracking me," and shit like that. And it's like, things are getting creepy, man, with all this tracking and all this bullshit going around. Like, me and my girlfriend will often be talking about something completely random and then start getting ads for it on Instagram.
Dude,
it's like, I opted out of all that shit. How does it know?
I'll think it. And then the next ad I'll get will be for the thing I was thinking about. No, I didn't say anything. I didn't say it out loud where something like my phone might pick it up or my computer or whatever. Like, I've had those instances where you're talking, like, I've talked to people on the Xbox chat or whatever, or on the phone, specifically mentioned, like, a product, and I will get an ad for said product or something along those lines. That's happened before. But I remember this one time recently, I was thinking about something, didn't voice it whatsoever, and I got an ad for it. Like, it was, I sat there and I'm like, okay, now that is weird. You know?
Yeah, it's happened to me, man. Well, I think I was thinking about, like, shit, I need some new socks, and then I got ads for socks and stuff. But I suppose, like, I don't know, maybe a lot of people want to buy socks around this time of year because it's cold, I guess.
Dude, it's just
But
because
then
everything's listening to you.
You don't know.
They're selling you a
Yeah,
product.
everything's fucking listening.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's funny. Like, Gabe Newell.
I know him
Valve
personally.
fame.
Great friend of mine. I love visiting his yachts and his super boats.
Well, you are part of the
He
the
told me
millionaire elite,
that
I
Half-Life 3 is real. Keep up the hope. It's coming.
guess. Well, on that bombshell, I hope we get millions of clicks. But
for reference, I don't
you,
know. I don't know Gabe Newell, so I'm joking around. I gotta say that now because people take everything seriously.
I actually had an email exchange with Gabe Newell when I was about, fucking hell, I must have been about 22, 23, 24, something like that.
Like 30
Early
years
20.
ago?
Yeah, something like that. About, because I was a Steam gamer at the time, and Gabe Newell's email address is famously available on the webs. You can just email the guy. Don't know if it's actually him replying or, a secretary or something like that, but I emailed Gabe Newell and I said, "Hey Gabe, I've named my cactus after you. Thanks." That was it. And I had a cactus and I wrote Gabe on it with marker pen. And he replied saying, "Oh, that's cool," or something like that, just like Steve said. So yeah, me and Gabe Newell are best mates. But what I actually wanted to bring up was, Gabe Newell's other companies, like this Neuralink kind of company where he wants to put, chips in your brain and shit. Did you know
No,
that?
I did not know that.
Gabe invests in some, yeah. So that's where some of Gabe's investments are going to brain implants. So I'm sure Facebook would love some of that shit. Man, it's a weird times, man. Weird fucking times.
Very, very weird. What else is going on? We have oh yeah, Marathon's actually releasing. In March,
Marathon,
$40. They had like a whole vid doc put out from it. The changes they highlighted apparently now, like proximity voice chat's in. I wonder if that had anything with the fact that people love the proximity voice chat in Arc Raiders. By the way, Jez, playing Arc Raiders recently, the last couple weeks, I have been called every single name under the sun, and not good names.
Have you been a dick to people?
I mean,
maybe, possibly.
What? Killing them is being a dick? It's a PvP game, for Christ's sake.
I think it's a bit mean to kill people, bro.
I mean, I get it in solo because a lot of people they can be very friendly in solo, even though you will run across people that fight. But like when you're in duos or where you're in trios, that game's like a battle royale. You see people, you're hunting them, and then you're gonna kill them. But it really is almost like the days of the 360 like COD Halo lobbies. Insults. Dude, I killed somebody. He wished death on my parents and my mom. Said he hoped that my mom would get cancer and die shitting in the hospital bed. Like, I got called the N-word twice from two different people.
Oh my god. Fucked up, man.
It's like we're not being rats either. I'm not camping extraction. We're just, sometimes you come across people or you set up an ambush. Like you hear people in the building, so you kind of like wait, and then they come into your room and you kill them. And they get so mad, like, "F you, dude, you piece of garbage. I hope you die." Or they'll be like, "You ain't getting nothing. I had a free loadout. You ain't getting shit." Like, and it's so weird when they say that because it's like, okay, sure, then you shouldn't be mad I killed you if you have a free loadout because you didn't lose anything. And a couple of the times they say that stuff, and then I loot them, and they don't have a free loadout. They have actually good stuff, and it's like, did you expect me to somehow think, like, oh, he just told me he didn't have anything in a free loadout. I'm not gonna check his body now. Like he it's like, I don't know, but yeah, man, like some of the things that get said in that game, kind of crazy. Can
you report people?
No, but when we're playing on the Xbox, we're on the Discord chat, so like we can't talk to them.
Right.
But I don't have anything to say to them. Even when I play solo and I'm not on Discord and I can actually talk, I never do. I'll use like the emotes or whatever, like "don't shoot" or "hello." Uh, Maybe I should talk more, but I
It
don't.
often makes me like, because like the only sort of comparable experience I can point to here is like back in the day when Warcraft had PvP, and like, well, I mean, it still has PvP, but it's opt-in now. Back then, it wasn't opt-in. You had to deal with it. But people cried about it, and they made it this opt-in thing, and all that, whatever. It's ancient history. But like, sometimes, like, because there was no proximity chat in that game, and I often wonder, like, how toxic would it be if the game did have proximity chat? Because the Horde and Alliance don't speak the same language, so they can't talk to each other. So like when you type in /say to a human, if you're an orc, it comes up with like some gobbledygook made up language, right? Which, by the way, Rand, is where we get the phrase "kek" from, K-E-K, because that's orcish for lol. So when you gang someone and it comes up with "kek," that's an orc laughing at you after they've killed you, or someone speaking orcish. But sometimes, like in WoW, when you kill someone, they would get so mad that they would log off their character, go and make a new character on your faction, and then look you up and start spamming you in Whisper and text chat and stuff. That's how you know you really piss someone off, because I have to actually make like a huge effort to actually come and do that. I have to go through the starting area. I have to log on, do the cutscene, and all that kind of bullshit. And yeah, it's like, bro, PvP. PvP is the point of the game, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, people want to be able to just. It's kind of like Sea Thieves. They want to be able to do their stuff without having the possibility of someone coming in and ruining their fun and taking their shit, essentially. And like the loot means
Yeah, I
more.
get
The
that.
loot means more in, Arc Raiders than it ever did in Sea of Thieves, right?
Do you know what it kind of reminds me of? A little bit.
What?
It reminds me a little bit of some of the discourse around Hollow Knight, some of the discourse around Elden Ring and games like that, where people have FOMO and they want to be part of it, but they don't like the game fundamentally. It's not their kind of game. So like, look at an Elden Ring, for example. People don't like Souls-likes, but there was a lot of discussion from game journalists, YouTubers, which is like, oh god, the game needs an easy mode. And every time these games come out, we get these discussions, like Night Rain too. Night Rain should have an easy mode, and all this kind of stuff. And I suppose it's sort of similar in Arc Raiders, where, see, if it's me, I just sit there like, I don't like the sound of this. I don't like the sound of being ganked by someone in proximity chat, and then them laughing at me. Like, it'd make me mad and stressed out and annoyed and salty. Oh, I don't play the game because it's clearly not for me. If that kind of thing's going to make me mad, then I'm just not going to put myself in that situation, right? Same reason, I didn't play Dark Souls for 10 years because I was like, am I going to suck at this? I didn't want to find out that I was going to be bad at the game. And then eventually I did play it and I was really,
yeah,
I really loved it. But sometimes games just ain't for you, and I think that's okay.
Sometimes it is. Did you see this new FIFA game that's coming by Netflix? Like everybody thought there was a new FIFA game that would come from like 2K or something, but now it's coming from Netflix, from a little known studio. So it's like, and it's a simulation game. So is it going to be any good? Where will we be able to play this game? Are we going to be playing on like Netflix platforms and like mobile and stuff? Netflix making moves.
It's probably going to be in the vein. I mean, they've purchased the FIFA license,
which is a lot of money. Remember, because EA didn't want it anymore because it cost a lot of money.
It's either a lot of money or EA was desperate for someone to have it.
Well, no, it wouldn't be EA. It'd be FIFA was desperate for somebody to have it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like,
you said
was
EA.
Desperate for someone to have it. Oh, sorry. And Netflix was the only one who'd give them money, at this point. So we don't actually know how much they paid for it. But I imagine it's going to be in the vein of Football Manager Mobile, and it's going to be a mobile game, and it's probably not going to be the big, FIFA competitor that I think some people are expecting.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it is.
What do you think about the whole AI stuff that happened this week because Larian said they were using AI in like the early stages of the game to help with like concept art or visualization of stuff, and they weren't going to use the AI in like building the game or whatever. And they sort of, at least it seemed like it was a studio everybody loved. Everybody loved Larian. They loved Baldur's Gate 3. It was Game of the Year. And Divinity made a really big splash at the Game Awards this year. And then they talked about AI and like they got jumped on hard. And there's a lot of studios that kind of came out in support. Like one being the Kingdom Come Deliverance guys being like, yeah, the AI used for like, stuff in concept art, and everybody's using AI, and it's like, what's going on with this whole AI stuff, Jez? Like, what was going on with the whole Larian thing? Did they torpedo their reputation? Is it just, this is just the new, how the sausage is made thing, where like people, like maybe you shouldn't have said you used AI because people don't want to hear that you're using AI, or they fear that AI is gonna make shitty crap, like the slop they see on social media, and they think like the next game's gonna be like that, or like you're gonna, after talking about how, because they made a speech at like the Game Awards where they said that like, the value to value developers and not put developers on a spreadsheet, like almost like they were taking shots at corporations. But then also like same time now we're using AI, and the thing is like, oh well, AI is gonna take jobs away from people, so. It's similar in a way of like Neil Druckmann saying, hey, we're glad we got rid of Crunch at Naughty Dog only for Crunch to come back. So
it's kind of I actually envision something like this happening, because some of the Larian guys who are very prominent on Twitter, they've leaned into some of this, I suppose it's culture war over AI essentially. I've seen some of them like tweet at AI games, or tweet in support of Valve, being like, yeah, put AI labels on things, and attacking Epic Games, Tim Sweeney, for defending the use of AI in games or whatever, all that kind of stuff. I've seen them lean into this. So they kind of set themselves up, and it kind of reminded me of the hubris that you often see from some of these bigger indie studios, where they think like, oh, we're not like the other guys, we're not like the other guys, until you are like the other guys, until there's like economic realities or that force you to make some of these unpopular decisions, where it's like people get a peek of how the sausage is made and they don't like it. I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening with Larian, but I'm just saying it did kind of make me think, like, I often think like when you see people publicly sort of picking a side on something, and it's like, because I've done this myself, where I've been like, I've adopted a position and then ended up being wrong. And it's kind of like you're sitting there watching some of these devs like hate on AI, and it's like, man, this shit's happening. It's you can't fight it at scale. I think like maybe like really small studios can fight against it. I think like at scale, I think if your competitors are using it, and like the Chinese are going to use it, the big corporations are going to use it. If your competitors are able to use it in a way that actually delivers them more users, you kind of end up having to do it yourself.
Makes the game quicker and more efficient and cost less and blah 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 blah, right?
Like, yeah.
All that stuff.
Well, at least potentially. I'm not saying that's definitely going to happen. It's just like sort of, it's something that could potentially happen. So if it was me, I wouldn't be sitting there saying like, unless you're willing to be called out as a hypocrite when it does blow up in your face. And that's kind of like where I think Larian's kind of fallen on some of this stuff right now. Early or not, because they did put out a bunch of statements explaining that it's not going to replace any of human creativity. It's still a human-led game, all this kind of stuff, So they did sort of clarify their position on some of that stuff. But it's much like the Halo situation, where they talked about using generative AI for, generative expand in Photoshop background, for example. I've used that myself on thumbnails and photographs. Like I had, we've got a rule on Future that all photographs have to be 16:9 aspect ratio. And when I took a bunch of photos with my camera, it was like, oh shit, a bunch of these fucking photos are 4:3 aspect ratio. So like, but I didn't want to crop them because it would like reduce the image quality and stretch it out. So like just the blurred background, because you know I took it with a you know, a focus effect on the background. I just used generative fill to add the missing bits of that aspect ratio. It's just basically a brown blur I added to my photograph using the generative fill, basically. So is that acceptable AI use? Because that's like the kind of thing they were sort of talking about using for Halo, is like generative fill, generative expand, you know, just adding little bits and pieces here and there, which you could do with a paintbrush, but it either wouldn't look as good or would just take longer. So I think there are also like minor things you can do with AI, which I don't feel is like super duper unethical. I mean, you can start getting reductive with it, Rand, and start talking about like, well, it uses a shitload of electricity, and it's like, yeah, but so does everything, you know. Like, how puritanical do you want to be about some of this stuff? Because like, there's certainly things that I do that aren't AI related that I don't need to do. Like, I don't know, catch an Uber, for example, or use a smartphone, or use an Xbox Ally. You know, a lot of these other things that use electricity as well. You can get reductive with it. So it's sort of like, it's a debate that if you're trying to adopt a position, you ultimately can't win. You can't really win because there's always going to be someone on social media who has the opposite opinion, but they also don't have to. They're anonymous. They don't have to back up anything they say. They can just drive by, hate on something, and then just disappear into the ether and never see them again. I think Sven, the CEO of Larian, said that he's quitting Twitter for the rest of the year, which is probably.
I think somebody else said that they're having like an AMA about it in a couple days or something about it. But there definitely is a disconnect between how developers seem to be saying they're using AI versus how people picture it in their heads that they're using AI, or even a disconnect between how AI has affected game journalists and their job, and how like it's impacted them, so they're, you know, obviously don't they feel a certain way about it versus how game devs feel a certain way about it. But I always sort of say, like, you know, you're in a slippery slope situation. Like, sure, maybe for this game it doesn't affect headcount, and you only use it for concept art and beginning stages of stuff, but is that always going to be the case? Does it get so good where like
slippery slope,
you don't like, hey, we don't need Bob over there because, you know, Bob's like the last one in his performance reviews, and we could use AI to fill his position, and then one job becomes 2 jobs, becomes 4 jobs, and before you know it, AI is doing a lot more stuff. I don't know. It's just like, because then even like I saw someone from CD Projekt Red talk about it, how they're going to use AI in Cyberpunk, but then they also said like AI can't make a game, so, you know, AI is not going to make Witcher 5 or whatever. So a lot of people are talking, it's like everybody's using it, you're going to get left behind, so this is something you got to use. But
yeah, it's a whole thing.
But the public sort of seems like AI is kind of sloppy, so like, what are we really going to get? You know, like some.
Well, well, this is the thing, right? That it's also like, is this a bubble? You know, because I write articles like nobody's using Copilot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know anyone who uses Copilot. I put out a poll on Twitter. It's like 80%, 85% of people say they don't use Copilot. But then Microsoft will turn around and be like, oh yeah, we've got 100 million monthly active users on Copilot. And it's like, okay, like, is that real users, or is that just people who accidentally clicked on it in the start menu because it's literally there in front of you? Like, you don't know these days to the extent to which something is a bubble that is like, is this actually the genuinely prevalent opinion? Because ChatGPT are out here saying they've got 800 million weekly active fucking users.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people using. That's almost a lot of people using ChatGPT.
That's almost like 10% of the global population. 10% of the global population using it every week, almost. So what's the global population? 9 billion or something, or whatever it is.
Yeah. And like, you have to imagine if AI, someone's fucking using it. If AI is literally destroying
the Earth,
No, the price of RAM. I mean,
Well, destroying the
I was gonna
price of
say
RAM, but it's not to mention the effects it has on the Earth and the like everything. I saw that the AI this year is basically equivalent to or more than like the carbon emissions of the entire state of New York or whatever the fuck it was. Saw something like that. I was
yeah,
just like, well,
it's wild. So clearly someone's using it. You know.
yep.
Um.
Clearly, every time you go on
Uh,
social media, every other tweet seems to be fucking AI related in some way. Like the one I see a lot now is just some dude taking selfies with famous movie things. Like a dude standing in front of like
right. Yeah.
Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, or the people from Lord of the Rings. And they got the movie, and he's just going in a circle. It's like, oh, isn't it? And people are like, wow, that's amazing. I'm like, this is the corniest, lamest shit I've ever fucking seen in my life. You know? Or there's like one I saw that was which bed would you want to sleep in? And it's like a bed of Jello, a bed of like sardines, and it's like a woman getting into the bed. And I'm like, are we really like destroying the planet and doing all this stuff because so somebody can post this garbage? Like, is this really the best shit we can do so somebody can post it on social and have Elon Musk pay them $2 for the engagement? Is like that's what it comes down to? Like it's
such
awful.
a weird Ponzi scheme.
Like, what the
It is awful. It's awful, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, it's like circular. You know, we see like these companies investing in other companies who are investing in other companies who are investing in other companies to provide them with compute for AI in a like circle. It's like a circle jerk of investment. It's like, oh yeah, we've got commitments for XYZ amount of compute with this company, and then that company uses the money from that commitment to get another commitment from another company. It's like it looks like a Ponzi scheme on the face of it, and oftentimes if it looks like a Ponzi scheme, it probably is a Ponzi scheme. But having said all that, it's kind of like they bill it as being able to. I mean, one of the things that happened with AI this week was Google Gemini and OpenAI signed a commitment with the United States government to accelerate Well, here we go, another commitment: accelerate investment in science, AI with science. So one of the things that they talk about is like using AI to rapidly pass through data and scans and metrics, and find a cure for cancer, and things like that. Those are the kind of things that you would hope AI would eventually provide for us, isn't it? Actual real life solutions. But the problem is right now it's being used for fucking memes, being used to take people's jobs, and all this other kind of stuff. It just feels really backwards right now. It feels really strange, and it's like, what are these rich dudes seeing that I'm not seeing it? Like, is this really worth all this shit? Like, yeah, okay, I can use Copilot to, for example, I used Copilot earlier before the show round.
Mm-hmm.
We do the shout outs. We do the shout outs for Patreon. I pulled, because when you download the people eligible for a shout out, it puts it in a spreadsheet in columns. You can't really paste that into Discord. But you can paste into Copilot and say, hey, Copilot, turn this into a fucking line of text that I can paste to Rand. I could do that with a text join formula in Excel, but this is lazier, And I'm sitting there thinking, is it worth burning all this carbon for this tiny sliver of extra productivity I've just obtained from, not having a copy to make something slightly more readable for Rand? That's pretty much what I've used it for this week, is to make something slightly more readable for Rand, so he can read out the shoutouts more easily. It's like, but I know it's being used in, well, I hope it's being used in more interesting and more powerful ways. And I like it's taken the legal profession by storm, especially because, companies like Microsoft can offer centralized security for their AI. So like the AI doesn't upload their documents into the cloud and shit like that. I don't know, like, again, if it's actually something that's going to make humanity more profitable, or if it's just a huge fucking Ponzi scheme. It's so strange right now. But it's going to continue being controversial, going to continue appearing in game dev, and it's just going to continue being a part of the conversation until a bubble. bursts and everyone goes to jail.
Yeah. All right, let me see. Is there anything else we want to talk about? Or we go to Patreon questions? I think we've talked about everything, really. Yeah, so do us a big favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, check out the sponsor of this video, Surfshark. Links in the description,
Right.
surfshark.com/XB2 for, 86% off 2 years with an extra three months. So it's a pretty great deal.
Yeah.
And
pretty great deal,
yeah, consider supporting us on patreon.com/XB2. You get access to early podcasts that we do like next week, and question and answers and the good shout outs and stuff. So let's take a look and see what everybody says in the question and answers, which we're going to do right now. So we have Last Horizon, who says, "Hey, hello guys. I picked up Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 since it was on sale. The game is unfortunately unplayable, crashing every 3 to 5 minutes. Apparently this is a known issue for the Xbox Series X. Do you know anything about this issue, or if the studio is working to fix it?" He says he just picked up Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and it crashes every 2 to 5 minutes. And apparently it's a known issue. That's the first I've heard of it.
Oh. Yeah, that's the first I've heard of it as well. What I'll do is I'll try and look into that for you, and then I'll post a reply on the actual thread. I'll send you a direct message because I don't know off the top of my head, but it seems like something I should be able to get an answer from PR about, but it's also Christmas, so it might be difficult until the new year, but I will try for you.
Yeah. Pat Rock says, "Why does IGN not have big insiders like Jez, Nick, Jeff, or Jason? They are the biggest gaming news outlet. Could you maybe give me your opinion on why? And would either you, Rand, or Jez, would you all ever work for IGN given the chance?" Maybe they work too closely with people to leak stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to leak stuff.
Yeah, I think part of it is they work very closely with Microsoft. Like they do the ID Xbox showcases for Xbox now. They do IGN first. Like this is how they make their money. Really, is like being first in partnership with those companies rather than in spite of those companies. So I think, but they do some like strong reporting.
They'll report on all the leaks. So like to them, it may not even be like they may get as many clicks as the initial reporting. Like if Jeff Grubb says something and then IGN writes their own article, IGN may get more views out of it anyways, and they didn't even have to bridge any or burn any relationships with anybody because they weren't the source of the leak. It's somebody else.
Yeah. And that's part of it, but I also think like they do like some original reporting, but like it's more old school stuff. I can't remember her name off the top of my head.
Rebecca Valentine used to do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, Rebecca Valentine, but there's others too, who actually do like the traditional long form reporting where they'll spend weeks or even months talking to sources to build up a full report, right? Like I'm a blogger. Like we don't have months. I have to produce content every single day. And generally speaking, so for me, it's like an ongoing process, but they have done that kind of reporting in the past, like the traditional proper journalism, but at the same time, it's like, they've never really, I'm pretty sure like back in the day, maybe Ryan did some of that stuff, but I think a lot of it is literally just, they've got really close relationships with those companies now. And it's not really in their wheelhouse, to burn those bridges. Maybe even it's part of their agreements with those companies not to do that kind of shit. Or maybe they're just like, they just don't want to do it because it is dickish, to ruin events and spoil things and things like that, which is why I don't do as much as I used to, personally. And so maybe they just like figure out how to make money and get clicks in less dickish ways as they've matured. But I'm immature, so I still do it. I don't know if you saw my immature exchange with the head of Microsoft Comms today, Rand.
The what?
Sorry, Rand was reading chat. I said I don't. I said that I still do the leaks because I'm immature.
Oh, okay.
And did you see my immature exchange with Frank Shaw, Microsoft comms
Yeah,
lead, on
you
Twitter
showed it
today?
to me.
Yeah, so I had some, you know, a little argument with the head of Xbox comms today, which probably if I was IGN, I would get in a lot of trouble for, and you know, maybe even lose my job. But because I work for a small, scrappy publication, I can get away with it at least for now until someone higher up the chain sees it and probably yells at me. But you know, gonna defend my team when they're being attacked, I guess. Would I work for IGN though? I don't think IGN would ever hire someone like me. Too fucking unprofessional, maybe. But you know, job's a job. You know, if I got laid off from Windows Central, yeah, I'd work for IGN. You know, got to pay the bills, right?
Yeah.
Um, I think they've got a cool team there. I like the video heavy approach. I've always wanted to do more video. It's just, you know, never been had the time or the budget. So I like that aspect of it. But I don't think they'd ever hire someone like me in a million years.
Same thing. I don't think they'd
My
hire
f-
me. I
my
mean, I wouldn't be
yeah,
against it,
my
but
my future is probably YouTube and Patreon. I think. I don't think I'll. I can't. I can barely operate in future as a corporate thing. I'm just so. I'm just too immature and too struggle with authority and all that kind of shit. You know, super immature. Like, if I was in the army, I'd get discharged really quick. I'm too belligerent. I'm too reactive. You guys say I behave on Twitter. Like, I speak before I think. And people like me, I didn't do well at school for this exact same reason. I don't know what it is. Like, maybe I'm fucking undiagnosed or something. But I'm so reactive. And then later on, I think, oh, I shouldn't have said that. You know, I do it all the time on Twitter. I do it all the time at work. I do it with my family. Um, but yeah, I don't think I'd survive an environment like IGN. Sif Davis. But maybe I'll grow up one day and chill out. We'll see.
let's see. We have Trickstar for Trey says, Jez, have you used AR glasses before with any of the handhelds? If so, which ones?
Yes, I have. I've got the X-Real, the cheaper X-Real glasses. I think they're called they're called the 1S, something like that. The X-Real glasses. I've used those with the Xbox Ally. It's a very, very good experience. But it's also really expensive, and I did get them as a review unit. I sit there thinking like, would I ever pay for this? Because I think they're $350. I'm not sure I would pay for it unless like I had fuck you money kind of thing. Because you are just it does save your neck. You know, it's more comfortable to play like that. But um, it's also like it's $350 for basically an external monitor. You know, so I think they're cool as hell, and they do work really well. It's literally plug and play. You plug them in, and it's you know smears your screen. You might have to do some tweaks and update firmware on them and stuff to make them play nice with Windows on the initial install. But yeah, they're pretty rad, man. I've got a full review of them on Windows Central if you want to check it out. Um, yeah, X-Rail stuff's really good. But those are the only ones I've used. I haven't used the Asus ones or the Lenovo ones or the is it Viture, I think is a popular one. I got an ad for the Meta Ray Bans as well, which I think they're a bit different actually, but it does seem like AR glasses are something that a lot of companies are trying to push at the moment.
All right. We have Chris M, who says, Hey guys, hope all's well heading the holidays. I've seen a number of the upcoming freemium games are skipping Xbox, such as Arknight's Enfield. One Republic even made a new song for the game, despite Arknights being on PC, phones, and PS5. And that's not unusual, but I have to wonder if PS5 is there and Xbox isn't because many developers view Xbox gamers as far more PC adjacent by design with Xbox Game Pass PC. So the view is not to bother. Any of those gamers will find the game elsewhere versus the thought that many PS5 gamers are more casual, so you almost have to be on that system to reach them as they aren't likely to find it otherwise. Could the very nature of the users of each platform be playing a role in how these things are decided versus just issues with the actual platform itself? Hope you have both have a fantastic holiday.
I think like the habits of Xbox gamers are definitely a factor. Like I know I always sort of like back in the day, I always viewed like Xbox and PlayStation gamers like the same, and that was kind of like an ignorant view because since I've been learned more about the job and learned more about how all this shit operates, I've sort of like become more aware of the fact that Xbox gamers are actually like the meme of the shooter box is completely true. Like Xbox over the years has curated an audience of people who just prefer shooters and not JRPGs and not these kind of games, right? So in some cases, Microsoft has to like actually fund the ports, and they have to pay up to get the ports there. And I think they will do that for like really big games where it feels like it's really important for the visibility and the impression of that platform is viable and stuff like that. But um, those are like things like your Genshin Impacts and shit like that. I think like when it comes to some of these smaller-ish kind of games, like Wuthering Waves is an example that's not on Xbox, and some of these other ones, I do think like it's going to be a tougher sell for Microsoft to fund that
Hey,
port,
don't you
for
don't you
better
say
or
a
worse.
bad thing about Wuthering Waves, bro. That was player's choice.
Oh.
That was the public's pick to win, bro.
Yeah, I ain't saying anything bad, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite as big as Genshin, is it? Or maybe it is now. I don't
I
know,
don't know.
but that's a game that famously skipped Xbox and still isn't on Xbox. Something I get asked about a lot, like why isn't this game on Xbox? Um, you know, I suppose Microsoft would have to pay or to get that on Xbox, I think. And it's really about do they think it's worth it? And the meme being
Yeah, like
Xbox is a shooter box.
a lot of those Chinese gotcha games don't come over, right? A lot of those type of stuff.
Yeah, they don't. Yeah.
Killer Beans says, "Hey guys, been listening for years, and I'm finally a part of the Xbox 2 Discord and Patreon, and I got Surfshark only because of the roar Jez does." Well, there you go, Jez. Thank you. I hope you're enjoying
I'll
Surfshark.
tell I'll tell our partner, bro.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm picking up the ROG Ally X today, and I'm wondering what games I need to play on it. Right now, I'll be playing Silksong and
Oh,
going
that's a
to
great
try
question.
Blueprints. Any other suggestions? I have Game Pass, but this will be my first time being able to buy from other PC stores. Thank you both for all that you do, and have a great weekend. There you go, Jess. So, what games should he download on his Xbox ROG Ally X?
I've actually gotten my boss gave me an assignment in our system, and the assignment is literally what games should you play on the Xbox Ally. So the Xbox Ally has like quite a unique situation with it because it's got the Ryzen Z2 Extreme chip, or if you've got like the base model, I can't. It's because Z2A, I think it's called off the top of my head, which is about the same power as the Steam Deck. So basically, depending on which model you've got, if you've got the Xbox Ally X, you can run like modern AAA games on it practically. But what the difference is when it comes to like the propositions about what games you should play. Sometimes you're thinking about battery life, like what games run on low power states really well, because you can like out of the box, there's like 3 power states you can pick. You can add more manually, I think, but I'm just using the defaults myself at the minute. And the power states are basically like how much battery life am I gonna vacuum up when I use this game? Some games run really well in low power mode, and some games really don't. I was surprised how optimized Diablo 4 has gotten. Diablo 4 runs really well in low power state, and actually, when you open the settings now, it has an optimized for handheld button, which scales up the UI and automatically selects like medium graphics and all that kind of stuff, and then makes it run really well. And even then, it runs in low power mode, so like you're getting like maximum battery life without huge compromises in performance. Same with Fallout 4. Fallout 4 has been very heavily optimized for the Xbox Ally, um, and again, you're getting that sort of that good performance while also getting the good battery life. When you start sort of straying out of the Microsoft ecosystem, you'll find that games are often less optimized. Unreal Engine games that use Unreal Engine Lumen, for example, they're very, very poorly optimized for the AMD stuff or the Z2 stuff at the minute. So like Silent Hill F and Silent Hill 2 are very, very poor on these systems, unfortunately, because the lighting stuff doesn't have the proper drivers with it, or it's got a bug or something like that. So there's a lot of like weird idiosyncrasies you have to navigate when choosing games to play. So But like off the top of my head, anything 2D is it'll crush pretty much anything 2D. So like Silk Song, Hollow Knight, Stardew Valley, anything with simplistic graphics like Minecraft, Valheim, um, Fallout 4, being a past-gen game. Fallout 4 runs really good on it. And then you've got like GOG Galaxy games, so you can play a lot of classic games on it. Like I've been playing the original Resident Evil games via GOG on it. They run really well, obviously, if you want to step out of that ecosystem. But Microsoft on the Xbox app, there is like a optimized for handheld section on the Xbox app, which sort of it runs through games that they've actually personally tested for Xbox Ally devices. And then also you've got games like Gears of War, which actually have a special Xbox profile mode, which is a feature that Microsoft's rolling out at the moment, which has like a special sort of automatic performance modes for that system. That runs really great on low power states too. So yeah, I'll if you want, you can reach out to me in DM on Patreon and tell me what genres you like, and I can make some more granular recommendations, man.
All right. We have Panda Man 77. Hey guys, let's go. The gaming industry is doing it to themselves with the cost of everything going crazy. I think at some point a lower cost competitor will enter the market and eat their lunch. Do you get the feeling that they are chasing only the whales and giving up on the larger market? I don't really get that sense. I mean, Nintendo, I don't think is chasing the whales. Nintendo's definitely going for the larger market. The Switch is definitely more broadly appealing than the other ones are. And it really does seem like PlayStation's more or less targeting the same users they've always had. Realistically, when you look at the sales of their consoles, over time, it probably end up at the same number. I mean, I don't know. There's that next console that's like, could that do something? But I think that's more of just like the current consoles are too much. I don't really expect it to do gangbusters, but maybe it'll be a good secondary option or something. I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Jez? Do you think they've given up on a larger market, or because I don't necessarily see that way, at least with, because I think they're all chasing.
Who? Xbox or Nintendo?
He's talking about the whole industry, the gaming industry itself.
Oh, the whole industry.
So,
do you mean like they've just decided we're gonna target?
We're going after the whales.
Hardcore now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, part of me's like they've kind of put themselves in a situation where they've got no choice in the short term. But there is this sort of there is a factor at play that we rarely talk about on this show, and I rarely see discussed. And shout out to Brad Sams, because he brought this. He's been bringing this up quite a lot. Is this whole concept of the ARM-based gaming device? So like ARM chips are cheaper, more power efficient, which means you don't need such big batteries. Potentially, you can sort of make cheaper devices to target that very price-conscious mass market audience, which is basically what cell phones have done. Cell phones have stolen that audience. The audience that might have bought a Wii in the past or an Xbox 360 arcade, they've all gone to mobile. So I think there is a future where I think that the next console proves this. Maybe the Xbox Series S was the right idea, but even still too expensive. And now it's definitely too expensive. So maybe the play is like, we have stuff for the high end, and then we push something ultra cheap on the low end. Maybe there's a future where there's I don't know, $150 super low end Xbox that maybe defaults to cloud or plays 2D games natively, maybe runs on ARM, because Microsoft's doing a lot of work on the Prism, I think they call it Prism, the Windows emulation for ARM. So I think that's a play. I think $30 a month for Xbox Cloud Gaming, I think even that is excluding a lot of people. But then there are these rumors of the free tier powered by ads. So I think that's a play too. So I do think that, like, I don't think they've abandoned mass market long term. I just think Confluence, Rand, That's the word of the show. A confluence of events has precluded them from the casual market this gen. Tariffs, RAM prices, and TikTok. TikTok being free and available on the device you've already got. But I do think free cloud access powered by ads, coupled with Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, and cloud powered by ads for free, potentially. And then maybe a hyper cheap console that maybe can run some of these viral 2D games. Like, I don't know, Peak or Roblox. That's the play, I think. They've got to get the prices down to get that audience back. I don't think they've given up. I think it just got away. They couldn't have predicted the tariffs and shit like that. Well, I mean, I suppose they could have done, but did anyone really think it would get this bad? I don't know.
Yeah. We got Silas that says, Happy Holidays. Rar, rar. The other day I was going through my old Switch games and I popped in The Witcher 3 for a few. While it's a compromised version, considering the game is running on a circa 2013 mobile chip, it's quite impressive. With that in mind, what console do you guys think punched above its weight? That is, produced games that really stretch technology within. My vote would be the Game Boy. Crappy screen, crappy tech, but some of the games really showed out. I mean, the Game Boy is a good one, for sure.
What was the question?
What game system do you think punched above its weight? Produced games that really stretch technology within it.
Oh man,
I was thinking the 360.
Gotta give a shout out to the Wii.
Oh yeah, I mean the Wii would be a good one. Did the Wii really punch above its weight though? I don't know.
I think like the amount of the way that it penetrated to normies and found an audience with hyper casuals, with stuff like brain training.
But he's not talking. He's not talking about that though. He's talking about technological. Punched above its weight, produced games that really stretch technology within. Unless you're arguing like the Wiimote was, he's talking about visuals because he started talking about Witcher,
I think,
and how it ran on a 2013 mobile chip and stuff. So,
I think I do. One thing I often think about is like the way the Xbox 360 games looked at the start of the gen towards the end of the gen. They optimized the hell out of the 360 over the course of its lifespan. And like the difference in quality in games that launched with the 360 to the difference in quality that in games that hit like years later, it's night and day, man. So, and also on paper, you gotta remember the 360 was on paper not as powerful as the PS3. If I remember correctly, it just didn't end up that way because of optimization and architectural things and developers not optimizing properly for it and things like that. But yeah, I think the 360 did probably punch above its weight, especially given how cheap it was if you bought it like without all the frills at launch. But I don't know, that'd be my pick, the 360, man. I remember being blown away by Gears 3. Like Witcher 2 on the 360 looked fantastic. Yeah. And so did Gears 3 and full Halo 4 did. All those games look fantastic, man.
So let's see. We got Lee Sanders who says, "Let's keep it festive. Hope you both have a fantastic holiday. What's the best Xmas present you have ever had? What's the one thing that was on your Xmas list that you never got?" I don't think I ever made Christmas lists, honestly. I would just kind of ask them to get stuff, and I usually got what I wanted. So I can't remember anything like I asked for that I didn't necessarily get. The one I always remember was getting the Sega Genesis I think I got as a Christmas present. I remember my brother, I think, got the PS2, I want to say. But I remember getting the Sega Genesis as a Christmas present, and that was pretty damn awesome. So that's the one I always remember. Because I got the NES as a birthday present for my birthday, but I got the Genesis as a Christmas present.
Is he talking about consoles or gaming systems as well?
No, he says,
games as
what's
well.
the best Xmas present you've ever had? It doesn't have to be anything console related. Just what's the best Christmas present you ever got?
Man, it's kind of embarrassing, but I don't remember a lot of my Christmas presents. As some of you know, I did grow up a little bit poor. My parents took out a shitload of loans to get us everything that we wanted. Bless them. And in fact, they only paid off some of those loans literally in the last 10 years.
Mm.
So, we were very, very lucky kids, me and my siblings. So my parents did all that shit. A lot of I don't know why, but birthdays were emphasized more in my household than Christmas. I don't know why. Some years we didn't even have a tree. I had literally this year. I said to my parents, like, my parents were like, because I'm staying at my parents for Christmas this year. I'm going back to Germany in a bit, but they were like, "What do you want for Christmas?" And I was like, "I just want you guys to get a tree, because you never have a fucking tree." So but one Christmas gift that I do remember getting that I really, really loved and was hyped about was Silent Hill 2, and I think I've talked about that before. I was really ill that Christmas. Like I had glandular fever, or like some weird illness that the doctors weren't even sure what it was, but it was almost like COVID. I lost my sense of smell. I had a really bad flu. I had really bad fever. It was COVID-y. Maybe I had COVID-16 or something. Like a prequel to COVID. But I remember like I wanted Silent Hill 2, and my parents were like, "Nah, it's an 18." God, how old? I was like maybe 13 at the time, 14, maybe less. I don't fucking know. But my parents were like, "Nah, it's an 18. You're not having that." Blah 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 blah. But they tricked me because they bought me Silent Hill 2, and I was like really really happy about it. So I remember being sick, a little bit delirious, playing Silent Hill 2 with the snow, like and the mist in game and the snow outside. It was so immersive because of all that shit, and vivid because I had like fever, So that's why Silent Hill 2 is left such a huge impression on me, partially because it was a surprise that I got it. I remember the atmosphere outside playing it, and I remember having fucking fever while playing it. So that's going to be my pick, because of the circumstances surrounding it, man.
All right. We have Frosty, who says, "Hey guys, happy holidays. Jez, are you jaded with modern gaming? Been listening to the podcast the last few years, and I've noticed you've been disappointed in the games you were recently hyped for, like Diablo IV, Monster Hunter Wilds, Dragon Age Veilguard. Even games like Silksong you didn't seem to finish." Oh, that's nothing to do with just being disappointed or jaded. He just doesn't finish games. I'll tell you that. Also, I thought it was interesting that you mentioned a few weeks ago that your favorite games you played this year were older titles. So, Jez, would you say you're jaded, or are you excited for what's coming in 2026?
I think part of it is I'm not jaded. Part of it is just how busy the job's gotten. I think part of it is because we used to have a much bigger team, and all I used to do was focus on writing and news. Now like I'm higher up the chain. Yeah, it's nice getting more money, sure, but a lot of what I do is really annoying corporate kind of stuff. There's a lot of homework. And the thing is, I'm trying to be a writer on top of doing that shit. Like, I put out that Starfield report at 5 in the morning. So I'm kind of burning the candle at both ends, trying to keep my role as a writer while also doing all this other stuff. So like when it comes to actually finishing games and things like that, part of it is like how disrupted I feel in my day to day. I feel like I used to have more time than I do now, and because of like how granular my work life balance is, I end up sort of like having big. I think part of me not finishing games, honestly, is because I'll be playing a game like Silksong, right, loving it, and then I'll put it down for a few days because of work, right, and I'll go back and I'll play something like Overwatch, which I don't need to think about. I don't need to like have, because you can't sit down and play. At least for me, I can't sit down and play Silksong for 10 minutes or 20 minutes. That's the kind of game that I would really want to have a session with, right, Rand? I don't know if you agree with me on that.
Okay.
But So I'd put down Silksong for maybe a few days or maybe even a week while things were really busy. And then I'd come back to Silksong and I'd be like, where the fuck was I? What was I doing? You know, and this literally just happened with Dragon Quest. Like I was playing Dragon Quest every day. I was really enjoying it. And then I had to put it down for a little while. And now I don't know where the fuck to go or what I'm doing. And I'm just kind of like, maybe, say, I'm just realizing this now in response to your question. So maybe the plays, leave myself a post-it note about the game that I was playing to remind myself what the hell to do, instead of just ending up starting something new, or playing like a service game or something that I don't need to think too much to play. Maybe that's the play. I don't know, but I'm definitely not jaded with gaming. There are things that I'm really excited for, like Dark Heresy, for example, Warhammer 40k. I'm really intrigued what the new Divinity game is going to look like. One of the things I didn't like about Divinity Original Sin or even Baldur's Gate was that like they're a little bit comedic and stuff like that. I like my RPGs to be a bit more depressing and edgy, and it does seem like, judging by the trailer, they are going for a darker tone, maybe. So I'm pretty excited about that. Also, games like Exodus look really good, and you know, there are plenty of games that I'm excited about. I think I just sort of like, I just know, I just kind of know subconsciously almost that work's gonna disrupt it all and fuck it up. So it's not gaming I'm jaded with. I need to get a new job. So if anyone's hiring, you know, reach out to me and give me a job that doesn't make me miss out on all the cool games. Thanks.
We got good old Collinwood who says, hello, Rand Jez. Jez, what did your partner think of Australia? Like all foreigners, when people come to their country, we get all insecure and seek validation by asking them what did they think of the place, where they went, what did they eat and drink, how did they survive Australia with all our snakes and spiders and sharks? Does she speak in an Aussie accent now? Would they recommend visiting to anyone else? Jez, are you tempted to go down under with us? Me, Special Nick, Risk It, Skill Up, Modern Vintage Gamer, Alana? Question mark.
Yeah, so my girlfriend absolutely loved Australia. She traveled all along both coasts, staying in hostels, doing odd jobs and things like that.
Isn't that where people die and they do the people?
Yeah, like the movie.
Movie, yeah.
Yep.
It'd be scary to stay there. You never know. You wake up and all your limbs are cut off.
Yeah. See, I said the same thing. I was like, you shouldn't stay in a hostel, but she was fine. You know, it's a super safe place to visit. You know, notwithstanding awful recent events, but like generally speaking, it's like it's super safe place to visit and all that kind of stuff. So it has made me want to travel out there and check it out. So the answer is yes. I would like to eventually visit the land down under, and we'll see if we can facilitate that in the coming years, maybe.
All right. Australia might be nice to visit, but anyways,
I'll go with Rand.
Anyways, I think that is.
You want to come with me to Australia?
I don't know. Maybe. Remember, Australia was pretty high up on our listener analytics. I forget what was number one. It was like number one was like, remember, because I was like, that's bullshit. There's no way that is actually number one. It was I forget what it was. It was like someplace, I forget, but yeah, maybe one day. But with that said, that'll be it for this episode. Episode 392 is in the bag. Do us a big favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, check out our Patreon at patreon.com/XB2, and our wonderful sponsors, Surfshark. Links in the description, surfshark.net/XB2, where you get like 86% off 2-year deal. You know, you can give it to a Christmas present to yourself or someone you know to help protect themselves online. With that said, we should be doing something on Tuesday for the Patrons, so be on the lookout for that. Yeah. Both of us might be back on Friday, or maybe it'll just be Jez and somebody else. We'll see how that will go because of Christmas stuff. But yeah, until then, guys, hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Keep it gaming. Later.
Bye.